Welcome to everyone out there joining us today for our TCH Monday 2-5. I believe we've got a initial buy-in of 2,000, and it'll be match to stack from there. Got a chance to check out the lineup beforehand, and definitely lots of skilled players on the table, so we should be looking forward to 4 hours of really good content in poker. My name is Shane. I'm filling in for Dante today. I'll be with you guys for the full 4 hours doing the commentary. So thanks to everyone out there that joined us, and hope you enjoy the show. Looks like, as usual, we're going to start things off with a $10 PLO double board bomb pot. As everyone starts to get settled in at the tables here, we'll go around and introduce our players. I know we've got some familiar faces. I see Aaron, who, for those of you that listen on the Thursday stream, commonly commentates. Kevin next to him. Blake, rocking the Santa hat, full in the Christmas spirit for today. So we're going to head to the flop here again. 2 boards. All of these players are fighting for half the pot divided by the best hand from each board. Got to use 2 from your hand for PLO. Any combination of 2 cards from your hand. Different cards can be applied to different boards. So we've got a bet of 80 from Prestige in the 7 seat. He's betting out with his top pair on both boards. Preston going to come along with a pair plus open-ended on the bottom board. Oh, we just got an adjustment to a 10 on the top board, so it looks like he's open-ended on both boards. Lynn comes along with the nut flush draw on the top board, top pair, and a couple of lagging cards to pair it with. Oh, Kevin actually pots it with the top 2 on the bottom board as well as the diamond flush draw on the top to 480. And he gets called by Prestige in the 7. And we're back to Lynn here in the 3 seat. This is going to be a tough call when he really doesn't interact well with the bottom board, and his next 2 cards don't give him a lot of optimism in terms of finding pairs. When there's a diamond on the bottom board, that's one less out that he has the potential to draw to, and he only started with 1,000. So he's going to be committing a significant portion of his stack here if he decides to continue on. But he's going to go ahead and peel the turn here to see if he can find a diamond on the top board. He'll be feeling really good about his positioning if so. So we've already got a $1,600 pot here in our first hand. What more could we ask for? And that's before we even head to the turn. But that's really the design of these bomb pots, right? We want to push and induce action the best we can. So we've got a blank and a 7. Jack 8 gets there on the top, but none of our heroes are holding that specific combination. 9 on the bottom does bring in the open-ended Queen 10 straight draw, but no real nutted hands get here on the turn. Kevin slows down with a check here because he's not feeling great about his bottom 2. And I don't blame him here, even though he does currently have the best hand on that bottom board, which will be pleasantly surprised to learn. And we see a free river, which we see a queen, which Kevin is going to find Broadway on the top, and an ace of clubs on the bottom to give Prestige an improved top 2. I expect Kevin to bet this here and likely get the bet through. It's going to be challenging for any of his opponents to really continue alongside with the hands that they're holding. Lynn is obviously has no interest in this pot up to this point anymore. The thing about the 2 boards that we see as lie right here is that the nuts on both boards are similar hands and combinations, so anyone with king, queen, jack here is nutted on both boards. It's a little challenging to apply pressure when you have the real opportunity or chance here to be up against a hand that you're getting 3/4 by. Okay, Prestige is going to go ahead and make the call with just bottom 2 and a pair on the top. It's going to work out for him here. I'm almost wondering if our hands are being read, because that's a surprising call in a double board bomb pot. But he is going to benefit from making that call because half the pot is currently going to be pushed his way. So Len goes ahead and makes the fold.
He has a straight and 2 pair.
And yes, he did make the call with a better bottom or top 2 on the bottom board. So impressive call there from Prestige. I'm not sure how often that one works out, especially 3 ways when you still have an opponent behind you left to act. But hey, got the job done.
He was just tone setting.
My fucking hand. I thought you had king jack of diamond. Wasn't it jack of diamond or something? No, you had the jack of diamond and 6.
So we're currently 8-handed. We do anticipate that #1 seat that's currently unoccupied being filled, so we will have a full game here shortly.
He just put a tickler and then he started going
We're
crazy.
about to head our direction towards what we expect to see the majority of tonight's game, which is going to be 2-5, likely 10 for the majority of the evening with the straddle. If you missed the introduction for today, our structure for the game is going to be 2-5 with a $2,000 max, and then match the stack from that point forward. So you'll frequently notice a lot of our players here reaching into their pocket, continuing to add on to their stack so they can have the effective stack and cover anyone at the table. It really allows you an opportunity to maximize your playability and profit when you find premium hands. Looks like Optimize has a little bit of some branding emblem here. It's been a while since I've watched a stream, so I'm not sure if that's a new thing for him, but I like it, so shout out to him. Okay, so I got some news here from the booth that maybe it was made by a family member and showing him some representation on the stream, so shout out to Optimize. So he's going to go ahead and actually open up King Jack off from the low jack. Fairly standard open from Prestige. Preston's going to get a little bit wild right away and show that he's here to mean business with the Queen 4 offsuit 3-bet from the button to 175. Prestige is obviously here to play and not afraid to make any degree of speculative calls. He's going to go ahead and flat that 3-bet from out of position and completely whiff the flop, which Preston fortunately is able to find a 4 on. Now, 8-4-3 on a 3-bet board is not necessarily the dream flop that Preston would be looking for from his range perspective, but he can go ahead and fire away here without fear because it's also not really going to connect too much with his opponent's range to a strong degree. Going to go ahead and bet. Looks to be around 3-4 pot sizing. Continuing with the story of having a strong hand, over pairs, ace-kings of spades, etc. And he's putting his opponent's, 7, 6s, 10-9 suited, Jack-10 suited, any ace-suited aces, and a challenging position here with not quite the odds that you would be looking for to peel, especially considering he only leaves himself with around 500 behind. So Prestige is going to go ahead and rip it in, and Preston's going to call with his pair of 4s and queen. So I had a conversation with a couple of players before the game saying I wasn't really expecting too much action after looking at the lineup, but obviously I must have been mistaken because we are running it here with King Jack up against Queen 4. The Queen 4 is in tremendous place to get a double up right away. Oh, okay, Queens. All right, so not Queen 4. We can see the difference there in the value in the hands. So things are making a little bit more sense here. So we're going to run it twice, if I heard correctly. The first board is going to run out safely for the Queens. He just needs to fade 1 king on the river. And he does. He's going to go ahead and scoop this pot. Well played there from Preston. Regardless if it was the queen 4 or the queens, both scenarios would have worked out well for him.
All Mediterranean food. I think all of them are from Syria, so it's kind of Middle Eastern broadleaf food.
Yeah,
It's a
nice. Okay.
So
735.
we had that before. They also have hookah there, so you can just like eat and just.
Oh, they have an outdoor area.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Now. Cool. I'll check it out.
We did that before, and then foolishly came over here and decided to punt off some money to the 1-2 crowd on a Friday
Preston
night.
and Prestige.
Seemed that foolish to me. It was a jolly good time.
So again, for those that are regulars, my name is Shane. I am stepping into the booth to fill in for Dante for today's 2-5 Monday stream. Had the chance to commentate a few times in the past. Always a great time, especially when we have a strong lineup. So really looking forward to the chance to watch everyone here play and see what type of action we can get. And if
25.
any indication of where the first couple of hands have gone, we will not be disappointed in what we see. So we've got a 2-5-10-25 straddle here, bumping up the stakes of the game as Jan joins us in the 1 seat.
112, 212,
It's folding around the table currently until we found Kevin with pocket 3s in the big blind. This is a spot that when there's only 2 players left behind you to act, I think that you should definitely be raising, and you can see just how easy and unlikely it is that any of your opponents behind you will wake up with a decent hand. It's an opportunity for you, even if they do call. You're pretty much c-betting 100% of the time on nearly any board, and you're going to have a high frequency and chance to be able to take it down right away on the flop.
Stealing the blinds, right?
15.
Stealing the blinds from the blinds, man.
So we're continuing with the straddle spirit here, which I believe our dealer announced is going to be to the tune of 15 for this hand. Trying to double check to see if I see 2 or 3 red chips there. We've got an open to 50 from Chris in the 9 seat with ace-8 of clubs, one of the couple of players that I don't think I have any familiarity playing with in the past here. Most of the rest of the individuals on the table, with the exception of maybe Jan, are someone that I've had the chance to play with pretty regularly. So definitely a good opportunity to take a look at some of their play style. So Chris is going to get what is seemingly a dream flop for his suited ace with 2 clubs out on the board, and Prestige is going to continue along with the back door. He's hoping to find a queen, which he does not. Chris does find an 8, so I'll be interested to see if he goes ahead and slows down and checks things back here with the flush draw and the 8. But Prestige is going to go ahead and rep this 8 because he recognizes that, you know, this is a card that's a little bit better for him. Now, the thing is what connection is he going to find with that 8? You know, 10-9 works well. A 6 on the end, continuing to improve the standard of Prestige hand. He's sitting here with king high. He needs to continue on this river if he's going to bet that turn, but he chooses to check. I'll be interested to see here, does Chris feel like his 8 is strong enough to hold up on the end? Or if he's going to go ahead and bet for value, which he bets to a small tune of 150, which leads to me to think that he's targeting a value size here. Maybe looking to attack 5s, 4s, ace-3, etc. But his bet's going to go ahead and suggest or lead to a fold from his opponent. He's going to scoop his first pot of the night. So well play hand there from Chris in the 9 seat. It's always fun to see new players that I've never had the chance to interact with and start to learn about their play style. On to hand number 5 of the evening. Chris going to wake up with another strong hand right under the gun on the live 15 straddle. He's going to continue with the trend of raising to 50, a nice, really easy to work with number. Going to fold over to Kevin, who looks like he's considering a call, and he does throw his 2 green chips in there. with his mystery hand. Maybe we'll see if we can identify what it might be. And it looks like Prestige is going to come along with the Jack-5 suited. So Prestige showing a willingness early and often to get in the mix with less than premium hands, but all it takes is a flop. And unfortunately for Prestige, he does not find exactly what he's looking for with no diamonds and nothing to pair his Jack or his 5. Chris goes ahead and checks his ace high. I wouldn't hate a bet in this specific scenario with the king out there. Kevin's going to take advantage of the weakness shown by his previous opponents and go ahead and bet here. He can be doing so with a wide range of possible hands. And Chris surprisingly is going to go ahead and let it go. I think that the ace-queen there might have been worth a defend, but Kevin's quite a strong player. He has positional advantage. I don't necessarily critique Chris for just letting that go and finding a better opportunity a little bit later in the evening. So we're back to the action here for hand number 6 of the evening. It's fold around to the button where Optimize has found the 9-5 suited. Going to open up to a standard size of 35. Obviously, there's a significant number of hands that Optimize is going to go ahead and play out of that button spot, and you can see that being an effect as Chris defends the ace-6 off from the big blind. Neither player is really going to flop much here. Optimize working with a couple of backdoor options as well as Chris. I think that Optimize is just going to go ahead and bet it and take it down. So we're on to the next one.
Getting run over in the street. Yeah, that's like a...
You mean you can get away from that?
So in between hands, you'll be able to see some of the overall stats related to the performance for our players this evening. Really clear and quick visuals in terms of where they're at. Some of their frequencies in terms of the amount of hands that they're playing. Their tendency to be raising. All metrics that you want to be paying attention to when it comes to monitoring your game, and how likely are you going to show aggression? How often are you playing hands? And there's a pretty well-defined range in terms of the metrics you should be at over time and the consistency that you're involved in hands. So Prestige going to go ahead and open up a Jack of Hearts and a mystery card to 30 from the button, and he's going to get a defend from the small blind and Magic with the King Jack. Magic's going to whiff this flop with the exception of a couple of backdoors and get an immediate check back from Prestige, where we see the 9 of diamonds on the turn, bring in a second potential flush draw. Magic's going to check again, and Prestige going to go ahead and fire this time, of which we're going to see an immediate fold. And Prestige is going to push the pot.
No, he's been out the last. So you probably saved me money. Yeah. I think the last time he played was this last Monday.
But I mean, even before that, he was around for like what, 3 weeks or something, and then he had that sabbatical that lasted like a month and a half. Yeah. Well,
I'm playing less too.
yeah, you're the part-time, full-timer.
He had it on 200 earlier.
Well, it's all about the game.
Prestige going to limp the ace-9 suited
You made that one.
from the cutoff. I think It's definitely a hand that you want to come in and initiate a raise with. And Jan's going to wake up with our first premium of the evening in the form of aces. We can certainly expect a raise coming in to kick off the action here. And he's going to go ahead and kick it up to $50. Well sized from the small blind or the big blind when facing a limper out of the cutoff. I don't expect Prestige to go anywhere here, even though he's in a world of hurt. Looking for clubs or a couple of nines, and he might be able to find himself with a big pot. We see an ace in the window, so Jan flops top set on a super dry board. I'll be curious to see what he does here. I would expect to see a bet somewhere in the 35 to 45 or 50 range. You definitely want to keep it small and encourage your opponent to continue with a wide variety of holdings, allowing them the opportunity to maybe even improve on the turn. Obviously, we can see that Prestige likely isn't going anywhere as a result of him finding top pair. So Jan's going to go ahead and bet what looks to be around $30 or $35 over 112. $25, I think that's maybe a little bit small. You could go maybe just a little bit larger, especially being out of position. But he's going to get a call from his opponent in which we're going to find a 5 of spades on the turn. Bringing in the 4-2 straight. You don't see too many opponents playing 4-2, but it is a possibility. And this is a spot where Jan should be sizing up somewhere into the 100 plus range, but he's going to go ahead and continue with the small bets with a sizing of 60 for this time. I don't blame him necessarily because he does have a majority of this board locked up, but his opponent is going to continue along here. Obviously, he's not going to be able to find a card that he wants, but he fades one that he doesn't want to see, which was a 9. Aaron with top boat.
Down in Mexico.
I'll be curious to see here if he continues with this small sizing. It just screams value from an opponent perspective. Thing is there's not too many hands that Jan will be having from a bluff perspective. 7-6 is a strong candidate. There's no flush draws available on the turn, and he does continue with that small sizing, opting for only 90, which I believe is going to get him paid. But not only is he going to get him paid, he gets the dream of his opponent raising on the river to 400. Jan is silently screaming in joy as his opponent just raised him on the river when he holds the effective nuts. Obviously, there is quad 3s available, but considering our opponent has not shown any interest in raising his hand, it's pretty likely that's not going to be the case. And I expect to see an all-in from Jan here. And he does indeed jam it all in, and Prestige is now going to realize that he has made a grave mistake. I'm not really sure what the raise on the end was accomplishing.
You probably would lose your mind so much that you'd stop.
Maybe it was his attempt to get his opponent. Oh, and he calls. Okay.
Ace is full of 3s.
Wow. So Jan is going to get the full double up through Prestige with aces full after flopping top set on the driest board possible, ace 3-8.
It makes Kevin 8-6.
Sometimes things are just easy. Flop the best hand, improve by the river. Your opponent's just going to raise you on the end, and you can go all in. So, nice pot there for Jan as he joined us just a couple of hands ago. Going to kindly flip his dealer a tip, and we're on to the next. You can see with that hand there, Jan has quickly moved his way into the leader for tonight so far.
Because he was such a nit.
But I drastically expect this board to change as our night continues.
He said he's literally never going to be invited back. That was him legally himself. I said, no, I don't think so. He said, I will be.
So aggression frequency for what we're seeing here in those curious is essentially a calculation of what number of hands have you played, and within those hands, what percentage have you acted aggressively, meaning
No, he did not.
either open the betting and or raised when you had the opportunity to do so. Typically, a lot of stronger players that you see tend to be higher on the aggression frequency scale because it really allows you that opportunity to win the pot in a couple of ways. So if you're looking to focus on your poker game, pay attention to your strategies and identifying.
He knows he has a
Are you
light
finding good
schedule.
spots to be aggressive
We'll get some more.
when the opportunity presents
Well,
itself?
hey,
I know you're looking for action.
So we're going to get an add-on here from
just trying to help
Prestige.
you're the one who brought it back up. I thought you were
Trying to
gonna give
chip
me
back up here so he has an opportunity to hopefully recoup some of those
Last resort.
losses that he might have faced during that
Average 50
All right, well,
ace-9 hand.
350.
if you're ever one
And
month
KJ,
shy at the end of
one of the
month,
best there is going to count out 350 chips for him to go ahead and add right onto his stack.
Yeah, mortgage next month's rent too. Fucking try to get this.
Exactly. Yeah, double down, man. That's what this game's about. Put it all on black, you know. Of course, he's got to deposit the chips with AA Ron. I'm not gonna take a chance.
Why A run? You trust him?
I think he's.
I sure don't.
I'd say he's sufficiently. Wow. Now I definitely want him to hold the chips.
Slander.
I don't know. I'll let you choose between.
So we're on to
AA
hand number
and
10, and I think we've seen about 3 all-ins already at this point. Speaks to what it's like to play poker here at TCH. If you're in the Austin area, come on down anytime. 24-hour operation, spreading 1-2, 1-3, 2-5. And this specific location's favorite of round of each bomb pots. So that'll be 1 round of typically 1-2 no limit hold'em and 1 round of $5 PLO double board bomb pots. It lends to a lot of action. So Jan going to be blessed yet again by waking up with the best hand in poker, pocket aces, and this time on the button. He's going to raise Magic's open of Jack 10 off, which he's going to defend to Jan's delight. For a call of 65 over his 30. And we're going to head to a flop here. We're going to see a queen-queen jack flop. Not the most welcome flop for aces, as it connects really strongly with his opponent's open defend to a 3-bet range.
I mean, like, if you think that you can put in 100 hours without
I'd expect to see either a small bet here yet again or a check back. Yep. That's not too much of a surprise. He's going to evaluate
Still on
turns,
live.
which is a complete
Barrels on
blank
live
at 2
stream,
of
please.
spades. Though it does bring in an additional flush draw. Magic's going to go ahead and bet his jack here, thinking that he might be best up against hands like ace-king, ace-10, etc., that he wants to show some protection towards. But really, he's seeking for 2 outs in the form of a jack on the river to continue along. Jan goes and makes the standard call, and he finds one of those 2 jacks. Jan, and he checks it. Jan is in complete confusion here and has no idea as to whether he should be value betting this. The question here is, if he does bet, what is he going to find his higher call with? He's going to see that he was quite rewarded with his disciplined check back on the end, as his opponent found the miracle jack on the river to fill up. And Magic's going to go and scoop that pot.
On the sofa front. Sometimes you got to.
We're good. Last drop for 10, 6, 7 raise. $40. Big fold. 9 call. 1 fold. 2 fold, 3 fold, 4 fold. Come here right here. 950. 5 calls.
So we've got an open from Kevin with ace-10 off under the gun. Got a call from Prestige with a semi-connected 10-8, and Chris from the hijack with the king-9 suited. No players here are really going to find anything that they necessarily love Chris probably feeling most comfortable with a backdoor flush, which does continue to improve on the turn, as he's now drawing to the second nuts. Chevin going to continue checking with just ace high. Prestige says nobody's shown interest in this pot up to this point. Let's see if I can go ahead and put a feeler out there and take it down. But obviously we can see that Chris is going nowhere there, as he has turned the backdoor flush draw. So as we head to the river, Chris is going to go ahead and find that backdoor flush draw. I expect to see Prestige to continue betting here, but he goes ahead and gives it up wisely with a check. Over to Chris, who's now going to feel very comfortable firing. That goes for a small size, targeting marginal holdings that Prestige might have. Something like 5-4, ace-3, etc. But as we can see, that Prestige just has a 10 high here, and Chris is going to take it down.
Crazy is that Doug said the exact same thing the same day you guys were both supposed to go on screen. Both backed out of the screen on Thursday. I think it was last Thursday. Right?
Oh, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
he said he was under
bro. It was legitimate for me. I didn't know that he.
Double straddle
I didn't know
25.
that he was sick last week. Did he not play at all last week?
No, I saw him on Wednesday night at the lodge. I played with him, and he's like, "Oh, you gonna be there tomorrow for the stream?" I'm like, "No, I'm not playing on the stream."
I didn't see it.
Interesting.
And then Thursday, Thursday,
Believe me, I wanted to play, but
You might want
yeah, it was not going to be good.
you guys might be spending a little bit too much time together,
Robert,
no,
Robert
seriously.
Diamond's will be the first
But I
round.
mean,
getting each other sick and
The
stuff.
right card, flat.
oh, okay. This card?
The one in his right hand.
You say it flat? Oh, you saw it? Yeah. All right, well, and let's do it. Let's flip it.
What was it, 7-2?
7-6
No,
off.
no, I was just saying, like, those weird.
I didn't know
It kind of hit my hand a little bit, so
I saw it go up. I felt it go up.
Lot 25, 8 fold, 9 fold.
you know how I think I got sick. There was that night.
So we've got another straddle here, this time to the tune of $25 from Prestige. Preston going to find King Jack off in the cutoff. Definitely strong enough for an open, which he elects to do to the tune of $65.
There was some chip
We fold it over to Kevin in the big blind, who's going to go ahead and let those cards go. Same thing from Optimize, and we've made it to Prestige with the 10-4 off, which he decides not to continue with. So, a little aggression here pre-flop takes it down, and I'm sure Preston has no complaints about quickly adding $42
especially the white.
in Texas Hard House chips to his stack.
I've seen some white chips that are not from this planet.
So we can see the results of our game so far. Len down a quick 500 in her first hand with the bomb pot, and then Prestige going a little crazy with the ace-9 suited. But still plenty of time for a quick rebound. And hey, he's shown the table, you know, hey, I'm someone willing to play some pots. And when he does find strong hands, that lends well to him having a chance to be paid. This has got to be a joke. Jan with what I believe to be, again, the exact same suited aces, this time from the low jack, is going to go ahead and open up to 30. This is now aces 3 times within 7 hands. Honestly, an astonishing reality. And he's going to get 3-bet from Aaron on the button with the king-deuce suited. And a call in between from Prestige with the 10s. Jan cannot believe the fortune that he has walked into. That is TCH Live on a Monday in the live 2-5 game, finding aces 3 times in his first minimum 10 hands, or maximum 10 hands. I expect to see Jan obviously 4-bet this. Considering there's been a caller in between, I wouldn't be shocked to see a sizing in the range of 300-ish. He's pretty deep with Aaron, who is his main concern because he was the 3-better in this specific occasion. So he wants to start to build this pot so he has an opportunity to find a way to get stacks in by the river. Obviously, we can see that Aaron is going to go ahead and get right out of the way, but I would not be shocked to see Prestige rip it in here, which he does, immediately gets snap called by Jan. So Prestige is going to be looking for either a connected board that runs him out to a straight or a miracle 10 to help him find the double out. So far, Jan is crushing Prestige with the pocket aces, and the table probably can't believe the amount that he's receiving them. So we head to a flop. It looks like we're going to be running it twice.
God damn it. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh. Oh, we saw a 10 on the burn card. How brutal is that for Prestige? Oh, my goodness. Could just hear a quick "my bad" from KJ. We all know how much that one hurt. So we're going to run it out here. We got a 3 in the window. No help for Prestige. He needs to find the last 10 in the deck for him to have any chance at retaining his stack. We see an 8 on the river. One more card to come with 1 remaining out. And he's not able to find it. Jan is going to go ahead and stack Prestige, a journey that he was working on doing since he first sat down at this table, and he's been able to successfully do it within 13 hands. $1,200 pot headed Jan's way yet again. So a nice score there. Jan needs to go out and buy himself a lottery ticket tonight. I mean, aces 3 times. 10 hands. It's just unbelievable.
Last out for 10.
Looks like a very healthy dinner.
So back to the action here, and Jan really can't believe it when he looks down and he doesn't see pocket aces yet again. Folds around here to the small blind, in which Optimize finds a really pretty 9-8 suited. He's going to go ahead and open up to 40 here. I like the sizing, considering he's got a couple of players left behind him. He's going to play the rest of this hand out of position, which he will do so as Magic calls from the big blind with the 7-5 suited. We see a flop of 4-7-10, probably our most connected flop for both players that we've seen so far tonight this evening, as Optimize is going to flop an open-ended, but he's going to check as a result of the board likely not connecting well with his opening range. Magic can go ahead and bet his pair of 7s as he feels like he's ahead. He also has some backdoor flush draws with the diamond, but he's immediately going to be punished by Optimize as he represents an overpair by raising it to 200. Magic isn't quite convinced yet and wants to explore his backdoor opportunities despite the fact that he's ahead, and he's going to go ahead and continue. So we're going to go to a turn here in which Magic is going to find one of those backdoor improvements with the 2 of diamonds. So now Magic is sitting here with the best hand in a pair of 7s, but that doesn't mean that he can feel great considering the action thus far. And he's played with Optimize quite a bit, so he understands the pressure that Optimize is willing to put on his opponents, especially with check raises. He's going to bet 250 on the turn, which I fully expect Magic to come along and defend, which he does. So we are headed to a river card that's going to solve all of our questions in the form of an 8. So Optimize is going to improve to the best hand here. Not necessarily the card that he was looking for, and I'll be curious to see if he keeps his foot on the pedal here, or if he decides to take his showdown value with a check, which he does. Check, check on the river, and Optimize is going to find that he does, in fact, have the best hand as a result of that rivered 8.
Pair of 7s.
Well, you knew where I was at.
Optimize puts him out, lets him know, you know, hey,
All in on the turn.
sometimes you just get there even when you know what I had. So with that hand, Optimize is going to move his way up our chip stack leaderboard, sitting comfortably at 2.5K. So far tonight, Jan, unsurprisingly, our big winner as a result of finding pocket aces 3 times within our first orbit. It's actually a shocker that he isn't up more than 1.5K, but he did not find the W against the Jack-10 offsuit that defended against his 3-bet. And we're back to our action here, so. Got some folds, over to Kevin. Looks like there was actually an open from Lynn with the queen jack off. Kevin's gonna defend the cutoff with pocket 7s, a really strong hand, especially when played in position. Definitely looking to flop a set here and build a significant pot. Jan is not gonna defend the 7-5 suited from the straddle. I guess he's only interested in playing premium cards as a result of him finding aces so many times early in the session. Kevin's going to flop best here, but Lynn is obviously going to bet out on the ace-high board because he can represent that card to a strong degree. I expect to see Kevin continue with effective second pair here. And he does so, which he finds an open ender on the turn, which also brings the possibility of a completed flush. I expect to see Lynn slow down on this specific card. The 4 does not help him to any degree, whereas it's really strong for Kevin. He doesn't have any clubs in his hand. I'm curious to see if Kevin decides to check here or go ahead and bet and try and take this pot down right now, which he does elect to do, feeling like he has the best hand in this specific scenario. He bets to the tune of 125, and his opponent's going to smartly lay down the queen jack to get out of the way. So, well played hand there from Kevin as he takes it down. Apologies to everyone that just had to hear my yawn. Had an early work call this morning, out of my tune of typical day, so I'll be pushing here like the rest of y'all to make it through the entirety of tonight's evening, but as long as we can keep up some strong action, I imagine it won't be too much of a challenge to stay engaged.
You guys seen that movie, The Prestige?
Yeah.
That movie is freaking gnarly.
That's a badass.
It's a good one.
It's good. Have you seen it? Yeah.
It's a good movie. I mean, it's not like it's bad names.
Oh, okay, okay.
So Optimize finds the suited middling ace in the hijack. He's going to go ahead and open it up to 35, in which Magic is going to defend the button with his king 4 suited, hoping to find a couple of spades. Chris going to come along with the ace jack and the small blind. That's a hand that, considering the hijack open and the button call, I wouldn't hate seeing a 3-bet squeeze there from the small blind applying pressure. Preston is going to go ahead and satisfy my request for that 3-bet squeeze, though, considering he's found a premium in the hand form of pocket queens, and that's treated me rather well recently. And he's going to bump it up to a sizable 215.
Oh, sorry, 165.
Oh, I apologize. It's a more appropriate 165. And Optimize is going to go ahead and defend his open. Considering the significant stack sizes and the possibility to find a nutted board, I don't hate this defend here from Optimize. He's going to find 1 club. He does have a couple of overs. Preston's got to be feeling really good about this specific flop. Not too much that your opponent is going to be connected with. 7-8 is in play. 6-7 a little bit less likely. And he can feel pretty confident here continuing, which he does so for just over half pot, and see how his opponent responds. This is a spot that Optimize can peel here. as he seeks out those backdoor opportunities and really find a potential for a large pot against his opponent. But I don't fault him for letting it go, especially in considering the bet size on the flop there and the significant pressure that he'd be facing to even find that river opportunity to seek that club. He'd have to commit a significant portion of his stack size by the time that even came to fruition.
Double straddle for 20.
Somebody barely green for me. Thank you.
To the 20 to go.
So we're on to hand number 17 for the evening, and Optimize is going to open it up to 60 over what I imagine is a $20 straddle. Prestige is going to go ahead and call with the pocket sevens,
Dude, I tried to play one
looking for
pocket
the
game
opportunity
before.
to
I'm
hit
not-
that third seven and find the
No
magical
idea. It's
set.
probably gonna be a torch
Chris with a
20 bucks.
nice looking 10-9 suited on the button. Considering positional advantage, I think this is a hand that you can mix into your 3-betting strategy to take control of the hand. You know, I mentioned earlier the value and opportunity that aggressive play presents, and we can see here that I think Aaron has some bad intentions in mind as he reached for a couple of black chips and alongside a couple of green as he bumps it up here to 325, putting a lot of pressure on his opponents and the potential middling hands and their interest so far in not bumping it up. Prestige is not a man that's afraid to play, as we've seen so far tonight, though, as he's going to continue along with his sevens for 325, looking for a low flop that he's comfortable getting his stack in there. Let's see if that he can find it. Ace 5-4, just what Aaron wanted to see. His opponent has less than a pot-sized bet here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him bet super small, which he does, to the tune of 175. And when his opponent just rips it in there, Aaron's going to obviously snap call as he's found top pair on this board. And Prestige is going to be in bad shape as he seeks for a 6 to be open-ended or a 7 to find that set. Queen on the turn. We're going to be running it twice, it looks like. Oh, he finds a 7 on the river, so Prestige is going to avoid getting stacked in this specific hand.
Just give me another 7 on the board.
But we are going to run it twice, as I mentioned. He's asking for his one last 7. He does find a 6 to become open-ended, so we've got a few more outs, and he finds a 3. We run it twice, and Prestige gets the double up through Aaron. What a nightmare. God, I feel for Aaron. It just seems like anytime I watch him on this stream, he runs into some stuff like this. Plays the hand perfectly, and sometimes it's just not meant to be. You run it twice,
The moment you don't need it, the universe will now allow it. You know?
and you
It's like
can't
when
find a
you-
single win
you
despite
don't
being
attach
over an
yourself to it,
80%
all of a
favorite.
sudden it is granted.
Shout out to Aaron, though. Keep playing well, and eventually that one will be headed your way.
Yeah, DGAF every hand.
Good thing he's getting a massage right
Not
now.
after that hand.
Release some of that tension.
He's suddenly tighter.
Yeah, no, a little bit better, slightly better, but I was just fucking around. Yeah, but it's
So good for Prestige there as he finds the double up, getting himself back in an opportunity to dig himself out of that hole before he buried himself only further.
every few years I just get bad signs.
And we are headed on to hand number 18 of the evening as we approach the top of the hour? Bottom of the hour?
That is true.
I don't ever know what the saying is. Prestige gonna wake up with a premium hand in the form of ace-queen suited and raise from the low jack to the tune of 50, and it folds around immediately, in which Aaron has no interest in defending his straddle and playing against the man that just crushed his soul. So for those of you that are not familiar with the chip color designations here at TCH, you'll see a number of different chips that are in play. We've got the red, well, starting off with the white, $1 chips. You'll typically only see those being used for tipping. I believe actually this table we only apply increments of 5, unless maybe it's an all-in. That could be the case. We've got the red chips, which is obviously the $5. From there, we go green for 25, black for 100, and then you'll start to see, especially as the night goes on, and we've got a couple in play currently, is those pink, which are $500 chips. You want to stack as many of those as you possibly can. So Chris is going to open up a 7 plus a mystery card to $40 from the hijack. You can expect that's maybe another 7 under there, maybe an ace of hearts, maybe something close and connected to that 7, like 5, 6, 8, or 9. Jan with a playable ace-3 of hearts. He's hoping that Chris has the 6 under hearts under there and he can find a cooler opportunity. He's just going to call. I think that's an opportunity that he can apply some pressure from a later opener if he'd like to. Now he's inviting other players into the pot, which you can see Preston is considering with his King-7 a club, or King-7 off. But considering the marginal hand that is in play, he's going to take the aggressive route and try to hop on what weakness his opponents have already shown with a raise to the tune of 160. It's going to fold around back to Chris. I expect him to continue with the number of hands that I mentioned that he could possibly have a little bit earlier. And if he gets a little crazy here and puts the 4-bet in, I could expect that that's likely an ace that he's having under there. But he goes ahead and makes the call, so we're going to still be left in mystery. And considering Chris called, I think that really invites and even incentivizes Jan to continue along as well. All these players' stacks are north of 2,000, giving him nearly a 20-to-1 ratio on making this call. And that's what he's going to do by putting his chips out there. So we're into the flop here 3 ways on a 3-bet pot. We're already up to a pot size of 500 with a lot of opportunity. Let's find some hearts. But we see a queen in the window of the club variety. We do find 1 heart on the 4-4 board. This is a board that Preston should absolutely continue firing on, especially considering the holding that he has. I think something in the tune of the 200 to 275 range is completely appropriate here. And he's going to follow alongside that advice with the bet of 200 and get 2 immediate folds from his opponent. So well played there from Preston, as he recognizes an opportunity that his opponents haven't really necessarily shown much significant strength. He can apply some pressure and then execute a pretty standard C-bet on that specific flop and take it down with just king high. So, well played.
Last straddle for 10. Double straddle for 25.
So we're continuing with the theme of straddles here tonight. We've got the 2-5, then the 10. As long with that additional 25 for this specific hand. We're going to kick things off with Magic, who I expect to see these cards go in the muck rather quickly. That continues with Chris in the 9. Jan follows suit. We've made it all the way over to the button. Still haven't found a playable hand by our opponent's standards. Aaron with a middling ace here. This is a spot that I consider probably just letting it go, especially considering the strong players behind him. But he's going to go ahead and bump it up here to 90. Potentially targeting Prestige, who has shown a willingness to get engaged with pots already tonight with somewhat middling hands. And he's going to be in that exact scenario. But this time Prestige does have a respectable ace-7 suited. And he's going to find 2 clubs on the flop. So even though Aaron does have the best hand in this specific moment, you can see that from an equity perspective, Prestige has actually a 14% chance better to win this hand. Aaron with a really nice downsized bet on this specific flop. continuing with pretty much 100% of his holdings, I imagine. But Prestige is going to find his third club right away, in which he can be very comfortable. I want to see a really small size bet here, which he does. That might be even a little bit too small. I think if your opponent's going to call 50, they are likely going to call 100. But Aaron does continue with just the ace high here, looking for improvement on the river, which does not come, fortunately for him, as he's already dead to Prestige's made flush. Prestige going to bet again for a small size, I imagine, this time to the tune of 125, if I'm seeing things correctly, and I expect Aaron to fold right away, which he does. So another pot heads up against Aaron, going Prestige's way. We'll have to see if that's a trend that continues throughout the evening. Well, we've made it through the first 20 hands of tonight. Typically, we see around 80 to 100 within a stream. We got started a little bit late tonight, so I expect to be closer to that 80 number. So you can think of us as about a fourth of the way through. And here are the current results as a result of the play that we've seen so far.
Our basketball coach. Police report sounds pretty damn bad.
They fold, not fold. There's probably a lot of tech fans that are happy.
Yeah.
So we've got another $10 straddle here. It looks like Lynn is going to open it up to 60 with the king 4 off, trying to take advantage of that position, but immediately it's going to be taken away as Aaron calls and defends his button with pocket fives, which I've heard some refer to it as the speed limit, but certainly not here in Texas. And we're going to head to a flop of 2-4-2, in which Aaron flops an overpair with the fives, a really rare occasion to do. Prestige came alongside with the suited king, and he finds 2 diamonds on the flop. So every opponent here actually connected rather well with this specific flop, as Len finds top pair, Prestige with the diamond flush draw, and Aaron the overpair. So he's going to continue alongside to the $85 C bet that Len puts out. I'd be interested to see if Prestige here has a willingness to raise this up, which he does not quite yet. He's going to call and see a jack of hearts on the turn, which really changes nothing for any of the opponents. The most likely connector with this specific hand here is the jack diamond, or our C better has a number of jacks that he could have been betting on the flop. Prestige is going to go ahead and now take control of this hand on the turn. Now, basically here, Prestige is saying, I had the jack of diamonds, or I had a 2 on the flop, and I chose not to raise it. If I'm in the position of someone like Aaron or Lynn here, how likely is it that my opponent has the jack of diamonds, and how likely is it that they don't show aggression on the flop? Especially multi-way, when you do flop a hand that might be as strong as trip 2s. I'm not necessarily buying it, but I can't blame Lynn that he's not feeling strong about his king 4, and really small number of opportunities to continue. Aaron, on the other hand, I do not think is going to let this go, as he only has $525 in his stack behind him. If he feels like this is a spot that he's ahead right now, there's a real opportunity for him to just rip it in here and hope that his opponent's on a diamond flush draw, in which that he'd be in a strong advantage to hold against. We can see here that he's holding 80% of the equity within the hand. Essentially, he's hoping that his opponent does not have the jack of diamonds if he does make this play. And he has a collection of different holdings as well.
Oh, not since then?
But he's going to let it go, and I can't blame him for that, especially after the way that he's run so far. Sometimes it can just feel like you're up against it every time. So, nice bet there on the turn by Prestige, and he's able to take it down with just king high.
It wasn't going to work.
Just coast.
Yeah. I said, how are you going to pay the bills? He
Yeah,
said,
you
I
better
don't have
do
very
it. I
many
can't
bills.
coast. That's not something I can do.
Sorry about that.
I can't coast.
Can I get that again? Can I get that again? You can play better than that.
Kevin can't coast either.
You don't seem like a coaster. Josh, on the other hand, seems very much like a coaster.
Like a coaster in life.
Yeah.
At a high level.
No, it's just like, yeah, I guess. Like,
A person drawn to coasting. A person with proclivities towards coasting.
yeah, that's
Yeah, well, he wasn't.
5-10.
He really, I think, needed a break from dealing. I think he was firmly in the burnt out territory. It was his birthday last week, so I was asking him. I was wondering if
Oh,
anybody party.
All right, so on to hand 23 of the evening. Got a number of folds so far. It looks like over to Lynn with a respectable ace-10 off, and he's going to go ahead and open it up from the hijack to the tune of 50. Looks like it's going to get through.
Yeah, I'm going to do it at hand 25. Texas card house. Whoa. You know, I mean, it makes sense, but it just seems like something they could have the computer do, you know? It only does one thing. It moves +1 each hand.
5-10. Four fold. 5 fold. 6 race to 35.
So back to Optimize on the button. I don't think that there's a number of hands that Optimize won't play here, and 8-7 is certainly in that range of potential for playing. But he's going to get calls from all three of the blinds here, so we're going to head 4 ways to an open of 35.
7 check.
And we're going to find a 4-3 jack flop in which Chris is going to flop open-ended. Optimize absolutely in the middle of all these cards. Looking for a backdoor opportunity. He's going to go ahead and bet, which into 4 people, this is definitely an optimistic bet, which is not going to get through considering Chris is open-ended. He's going to go ahead and just call from the straddle position. Queen on the turn. I expect to see Optimize check back here, yep. And we're going to see a 2 on the river, which is going to give Chris the nuts. I expect to see a small bet here, somewhere in the tune of 130 range. $160, and Optimize will of course fold right away. So it's always nice to river the nuts, but it's always a little bit sad when your opponent folds right away.
Seem pretty confident.
Everybody but see that.
There's nothing.
It says I'm live now. Hold on.
Check, check. Check.
Music is playing.
7 bet. 8.
Sorry about that. Anybody that heard that audio drop there had a quick stream challenge. So it looks like we're running a double board bomb pot here. We've got a 6, 8, 9, 5 now on the top board with a Broadway heavy bottom board. Looks like we've got Optimize in there with top 2 on the bottom. Now 3 pair on the bottom, as well as the nut flush draw that might have just been taken away. I thought there was another diamond. And Prestige is currently scooping this hand with a set of kings, and he goes ahead and barrels the turn. He's going to find the scoop. So Prestige making his way back up the leaderboard after what was definitely a tumultuous start. One more significant hand, he's going to find himself the opportunity to return back to even. We can see some stats related to pre-flop raise frequency. Most players hovering around the 15 to 20% line. Kevin, well below expectation, currently at 5%, but it is early. We've only had 26 hands played, so quite a volume of opportunity here to continue improving that value. Lynn going to open up the queen 5 off. I think he might be getting a little bit bored. And again, Aaron's going to call his raise with the pocket 2s. Kevin finding the 8s in the hijack, which he also defends. Optimize with the king 5 suited in the cutoff. He's going to go ahead and take the aggressive route, which if he's going to play this hand, I absolutely think is the play to do. Raising it up to the tune of 180, trying to bring in the $105 that's currently in the pot. And if he does get called, he's going to have a lot of flexibility to continue on the flop, if we've seen a number of our players doing up to this point with a c-bet. He's really hoping to take this heads up here. Lynn is obviously going to get right out of the way as he got a little bit out of line with his queen 5, and he's facing some resistance right away. Aaron going to go ahead and rip it, though, with his pocket deuces, feeling that Optimize has a real chance here to be making a play, which obviously he is here. So Aaron has shipped in his $516 stack with 2 players still left to act behind. Obviously, from the player's perspective here, Aaron probably isn't super strong because he elected not to raise initially. But he has gone for the back raise as a result of Optimize's 3-bet. And Optimize is in a weird spot here because there's $928 in the pot. He only needs to call 336 more. We can see that he certainly has the equity to make this call, but he cannot be certain that Aaron has just pocket 2s. Now the thing is if Aaron is in the middling range, let's say 7s, 6s, 8s, etc., Optimize still has the necessary odds to make this call, so I expect to see us throw it in. Aaron knows that he's certainly flipping here as he's got the pocket 2s, and we've got the king 5, and Aaron lets out a little bit of a smirk here because what a couple of hands for us to have on an all-in. We'll head to the flop, which we see a 5 and a deuce.
What kind of garbage
So
is that?
Aaron is in great shape to get the double up, which he will. So well played there by Aaron with the back raise. Finds the set on the flop. That's the best part about being with a pair in a flip. You can pretty much knock your opponent dead by finding one of those 2 magical cards. Good hand, Aaron. Glad to see you win that flip. Nothing against Optimize, but you deserve it after the punishing 7s versus ace-jack hand.
Yeah. I don't know. Figured I had to try something stupid.
So things are starting to even out just a little bit on our earnings board so far. We can see that we've got a couple of 4-digit winners, and nobody is below that 1,000 line as losers. Prestige, by far and away, leading the pack with a tremendous 62% VPIP. Nobody can certainly say he wasn't trying to get in there in the mix. Chris next with 40. And then a number of players teetering around the 20% line as they look to find better spots for them to get involved in the action.
You should write a poker book. I can help you with the chapter how not to be predictable. Okay?
8 raised to 49.
You can write all the other ones.
I can't believe that.
So Magic going to open up the Queen Knight off from the button.
That's played so far.
And Prestige is going to call over his limp with the 8-7. Neither opponent's going to particularly connect well with this flop, but I expect to see Magic go ahead and c-bet this. I won't even predict what Prestige is going to do. As you can see here, he's taking an unorthodox line here with the lead out. Magic is not looking like he's buying it, though, and he's going to go ahead and put in the raise to put pressure on Prestige. And this is really the challenge with going with a donk lead on the flop, especially on the King 5-2 board. What are you going to represent? And Magic is going to flip over the queen high and just let him know, yeah, I didn't buy what you were selling. And I was basically telling you, wake up with a hand here or get out.
Someone just like makes a deck of all black cards or something, and we're like, well,
We usually put out 1.5 speed.
How long do you think it would? Well, you would notice pretty quickly because that'd be like double.
Like, it's not a hand I want to see on there. Either one of the hands I was supposed to, or
Live 10.
yeah, no chance I'm putting 20 on this time.
Okay then.
So on to hand
Literally
28 for the
$20
evening.
they got me last time.
Oh shit.
Going to see a couple of folds from Aaron and then Kevin. Optimize. Probably had aces, but he's not at his seat. We'll never know. Actually, we will know that he had Jack-10 off, so it's probably a hand that he would have opened up, but nothing that you're feeling crushed about missing. Chris is going to leverage the button to open up 8 of clubs and a mystery card. He's going to get a couple of folds from the blinds onto the straddle, which is a tough to defend Jack-4 off, but he's going to do it for the honor of defending his straddle. And we're going to add to a flop in which we'll see a King 5-3, 2 diamond. Len working with a backdoor. Chris, we are not sure. We see a jack on the turn, so Len is going to find what we presume to be top pair unless Chris is holding a king under that mystery card, which I doubt considering he didn't bet the flop. But he is going to go ahead and bet the turn, trying to represent that jack he could have, and he would be ahead. Len's going to go ahead and obviously make the call, considering he found a pair there, in which the 2 diamonds is going to introduce a flush on the end. I would most expect to see this go check-check, unless Chris wants to continue betting, either for value or trying to push his opponent.
That's 65.
And here I expect to see Len make the call on this $65 bet.
Just the universe echoing the same result.
He's got second pair. Your opponent didn't bet the flop.
The last hand, it was King 5 deuce.
The diamond flush did come in, but again,
Shut your
when your
mouth.
opponent's the aggressor before the flop,
Universe is
typically when they flop a flush draw, they're going to go ahead and
He
continue.
said it already.
He's going to make the call,
Oh, I apologize.
and we're going to see the ace-8 from
I
Chris,
wasn't referring to you.
which is not good because Len was able to find that jack on the turn.
It was.
He definitely had a good blocker.
I'm never going to fold deuces.
The old Jack 4, you get a bonus for that.
High five.
No, no bonus. Top 5 bonus. Yeah, you ain't wrong. Switch top 5.
Yeah, so don't about to let me go and set the deck. Yeah.
Live 10.
Yeah, then they're gonna go like, you know, all the gears in the world.
So on to number hand 29, it looks like Kevin's going to find his real first opportunity to show some aggression, waking up with the ace-jack and the +1 of his straddle. Immediate call from Prestige with the notably strong 6-2 of hearts. Preston going to let go of the playable king-8 of diamonds, and then Ron once again going to find the ace-jack off in the straddle. This time he elects to just make the flat call. I like this, especially considering the open comes from a rather strong player in the under the gun effective position. We're going to see an ace on the flop, but as well as 2 hearts, so all 3 opponents here finding a flop that they're really looking for. I expect to see Aaron check this to the natural aggressor, which he does. Kevin's going to go ahead and fire for a smaller sizing of what looks to be around $35 or $40, inviting Prestige to make the easy call to come along. Now, Aaron's going to go ahead and execute some aggression here as a result of Kevin likely continuing with a number of holdings on this specific flop. And considering Prestige, just make the smooth call, we can really likely eliminate really strong holdings from his specific hands. Kevin in a weird spot here because his hand is strong, but not likely to improve significantly. He's vulnerable to a lot of cards, but he needs to continue despite the fact that there's a player in between him. Now Prestige is likely to come along here, but this is an instance where, you know, if your heart does get there, are you even feeling great? And it gets there right away, so Prestige does find his 3rd heart to once again find himself holding a flush, which will be the best hand if he can make it to showdown. Kevin is going to check, Aaron's going to check, and when that happens, now Prestige can feel pretty comfortable in knowing that he has the strongest hand in this specific position. He's going to bet to the tune of $100, so a very small sizing. That is going to allow Aaron to continue. Not quite sure that Prestige has found himself with the flush that he does have. And a 10 on the end is going to pair the board. Aaron's going to chuck it over to Prestige, in which he's going to continue again for the same small turn sizing that Aaron will snap off and learn the news that Prestige was able to make a significantly strong hand despite his middling start of the 6-2 of hearts. So well done there from Prestige. Gets a couple $100 of value on the turn and river. And that could be the difference between finding yourself in a positive session or a negative one at the end of the day. So nice job by Prestige. He's battling his way back from the pits that he started in. Only a few more $100 to ghost till he can find himself in that green territory.
What's that? Oh man, what a funny game we play.
6 fold. 7 call, 8 fold. I raised 40.
So on to hand number 30 of the evening. Chris is going to open up the Jack-9 suited from the hijack in seat 9. After the 8-3 limp from Prestige, we get a call from Preston in the button. And I tell you what, right now, having played, we're going to see a raise to 300. I would be shocked if that's actually the value, but it is. From the King-5 suited, I think Optimize had something tricky in mind there. He was planning on maybe doing some back raise. I've seen that make that move a couple of times. And he's going to go ahead and get the fold, so good aggression there from Lynn. Going to pick up a quick $100 from his pot. He shows the king, and he's going to show the 5 too, so good at the game. Let everyone know, hey, I'm here to play.
At least it's suited. Optimize is adding 1,000.
Optimize is adding 1,000.
So you'll notice here that players are starting to chip up to match the largest stacks at the table. Optimize taking his option to add on an additional 1,000.
Why you guys leaving me out in the cold? What's up, dude? How are you? Good.
You got a last double straddle for 25.
Talking on you're a freaking super reg on the stream. You ought to have prestige. It should be something like something from the movie.
Magic can let go of the king-jack off, effectively enter the gun over the double straddle. It's going to fold around over to Preston in the cutoff with Jack 10, where I expect to see some chips go in the middle, which they do to the tune of $60.
3 fold, 4 fold, 5 fold, 6 fold.
Looks like we've got some folding around to Prestige in the straddle with the queen 5 suited. Again, Prestige is going to find a 2-club flop. And again, he's going to go ahead and lead out just like he did against Magic a little bit earlier. Preston's going to find top pair, which I feel like he will feel pretty comfortable with, and he makes the call. And we will head to a turn when we get our graphics correct, which this time does not come for Prestige to automatically bring him this flush, which seems like a shocker considering the way that he's run. But Prestige is going to continue to tell the story that, hey, I have a strong hand here, which we do know that he likes to play 6-2, so that is certainly within range. Jack 6, pocket 6s, pocket deuces, etc. But I can't see Preston letting this go, which he does not. He makes the call with the Jack 10. And we'll head to a river in which Preston's hoping to fade a club, which he does. This time it's a queen, giving Prestige yet again the best hand, which he will value bet on the river. And this is a spot that Preston is just going to make the call. He's gotten this far. The club's missed. And he's going to be sad to learn, yep, my opponent does in fact have the queen of clubs. And he got there on the river. So Prestige, after his tough start, everything's going his way right now.
I'm with you.
You don't know the new 9.
I'm with you?
You don't know the new 9.
Really, I don't. Have you played recently?
As in like an hour ago?
Oh, you just were.
And with that hand, Prestige has made his way out of the hole, back into the green, so congratulations, Prestige. That was a well-run period of hands for him to bring himself out of that hole that he got into right away. And we'll head to hand 32 on this evening's stream. So we got the king 9 suited for Chris in the +2 position. Definitely a little bit of a marginal holding in that specific spot, but you know, hey, you're on stream. You don't want to be labeled a nit. We're gonna get a call from Preston with the suited ace and Lynn with the suited connectors. Aaron's gonna find a premium of jacks on the button. He's gonna raise it up to $200. I expect to see Chris go away. Preston may consider a call. Prestige, of course, is going nowhere, considering the way that he's run so far tonight. With Prestige coming along, I think this really incentivized Preston to continue. Now, the challenge here is that Aaron only has $700 in his stack, so even if he's able to find a really strong hand, he's not really going to see the value in continuing alongside with it in consistency. King 4-6 monotone flop. Of course, Prestige does have the card to find himself a flush because why wouldn't he? He's going to check over to Aaron, who I expect to continue here for a smaller sizing. He's counting on his chips so he can accurately set himself up for a position to shove the turn on any blank, and not, which is essentially a non-club at this point. $125 bet into just over 500. Prestige is going to rip it in. And Aaron's going to make the call here, which definitely makes sense. So many hands that Prestige might be having that he's ahead of, including the one he currently has. But we can see here that from an equity standpoint, Prestige actually has the outs, and right away he's going to find it in the form of the ace of clubs. And the club flush is going to run out. Aaron will begrudgingly push his chips in the direction of Prestige, as he simply cannot best him tonight. Another nice hand here for Prestige as he continues to climb himself out of this hole well into the green now. And if he can keep this up, you never know what kind of stack we're going to be able to see him assemble. Back in our leaderboard here, we can see that Prestige has made his way from below 2K to over 1K in winnings. Quite a swing to go on in the first 33 hands. And that's really reflective, as you can see right there by his VPIP. When you're going to play 60% of your hands, you're going to go through some swings. And it's not like he's been calling and then folding on the flop. There's been a lot of these hands that have went to showdown for him, which leads to significant losses as well as significant wins.
Too late.
So we're back to the action here with Magic under the gun with this offsuit ace. Yep, makes sense. Let it go. Our next active player, Chris, is going to also let his hand go. Fine Jan continuing his strategy of only playing aces, one I respect deeply. Preston's going to open it up to what seems like the small size of 25 because there is no straddle on. Kevin going to let go of the 9-8 off in the button. Whereas Optimize, a little bit more willingness to play with the Jack-10 suited despite being out of position. And we're going to head to a flop here. Heads up.
Check dark.
We'll see a 10 in the window, including 2 more jacks, so Optimize just going to flop the absolute nuts. But his opponent's going to immediately check back, much to his dismay. But he does find the turn of a 5 of spades, which leads Preston to the nut flush draw that he will bet to the tune of $35. This is just such an awkward spot for for Optimize, and this is really reflective of what it's like to play hands out of position. He's going to elect to raise here, even though he has the majority of this board locked up, which I don't blame him because he wants to continue to build this pot. If his bonnet does have a strong hand or the opportunity to improve, which you can see that he does with the ace of spades, so he's going to be rewarded with the call for his aggressive play. Let's see if that Preston can fade a spade, which he does. He'll be very happy to learn that he did when he sees the outcome of this specific hand. I expect Optimize to bet rather large here, targeting the majority of Preston's strong holdings, whether it be an overpair, a jack, and check back on the flop, etc.
475.
And that's exactly what he does with nearly a pot size and a half bet, saying, I have the nuts here, or I have nothing. Preston's going to think about this for a while. But ultimately, he just has ace high, and it's going to be too challenging of a call to make, and he's going to let it go. So, nice hand there by Optimize. It's always joyous when you flop the absolute nuts.
I don't know.
And it's only just disappointing when you can't get your stack in there.
That's a lot of credit.
He's bet 600. No, he's in for a total of 1,085. The 600 was the money, for the cash.
So quoting one of my good friends here, Austin, onwards and upwards we go, as we head to hand 34 of the evening. Aaron has found himself some new chips to play with, so we can see
We have a lot of straps for
if he's
10.
able to start his journey back out of the red. I have
Not gonna hate these.
the utmost faith in Aaron's playing abilities to do so. So I would not write him off just yet.
It's really depressing. I mean, it's not like me and Doug are crushers or something. Like, why don't all the crushers show up? Where's freaking? I'm sitting here telling you I'm not a crusher. I mean, the guys that are showing up, running off all the players, not even showing up. So I don't understand why
So Prestige finds a premium as it folds around to him in the small blind, opening it up to 50 with the ace-king off. He's going to get a defend from Chris with the middling 10-6 in the straddle. But Chris is going to outflop him, finding top pair on the 10-9-4 two-spade board. Prestige is going to go ahead and check his ace high, and Chris is going to bet small to the tune of $35, which I expect to see Prestige continue with, which he does. Looking for a king or an ace on the turn, but finds no help in the form of a 9 of hearts. He's now going to start barreling on this card, he's decided, to the tune of $100. Holding top pair, I don't expect to see Chris go anywhere, especially after his opponent decided to check the flop. He does make the call, so again, Prestige is looking for a king or an ace on the river. He does not find it. Instead, we continue to increase the connectivity of this board, this time to the tune of a 7 of hearts. And Prestige is going to put in significant pressure on his opponent, saying, if you have a 9, you're going to call this. If you don't, I'm going to win this hand, and that's what he does. Bringing up more pot and more chips as well.
Top 10.
Aaron's still trying to work out that tension from the many unfortunate runouts he's faced so far tonight. Prestige is going to go ahead and limp a premium hand on the button, ace-queen suited, or ace-queen offsuit this time. Unfortunately, he's going to see a raise from Chris W. in the big blind with the 9-8 suited. I'll be interested to see here if Prestige makes any fun plays. Nope, he decides to just go ahead and continue to play passively with his strong hand. And we're going to head to a flop of 3-5 king. Neither opponent particularly connecting with this board. Not what Chris wanted to see, holding 2 red suited cards. He's going to bet out for 50, standard C bet, which Prestige is going to call, holding the ace high, in which he finds a jack on the turn, giving him backdoor opportunities for Broadway. Chris is now going to slow down. Prestige going to check this back, which I don't hate. And we'll see a 6 on the board in which Prestige does have the winning hand of ace high if he can find himself to showdown. Considering Prestige check back the flop, or check back the turn, and he's holding 9 high, Chris is going to go ahead and take a stab at this with an $85 bet. But Prestige takes a second here and thinks about this hand. The most likely holding for Chris is a jack that he received showdown value in that he's decided to check back on the turn. And Prestige is going to look him up correctly, making the call with ace high. So nice call there by Prestige. Well played. Induced your opponent to bluff on the river when you check back the turn. And got some value. So I think that's around 6 pots in a row that Prestige has won and that he's been involved in, and you can see that reflected as he skyrockets up the leaderboard for our winning earnings today. The man cannot be stopped. Don't play hands with Prestige right now.
There's no deuce out there, though.
Yeah, right. Not this time.
All right.
C3 fold.
So Aaron finding yet again another premium.
4 raise.
Jacks
40. 5 fold.
opening it up to 40 from the +2 position. He's going to get a couple of folds.
9 fold.
He's even made prestige folds, so he might have a chance to win this. And he does, as he gets no pushback from any of the opponents from his open. So Aaron will go ahead and add $17 to his stack, and we will move on to hand 37.
Last drop of 10.
I was feeling you can speak my children well. Let it start. They like to play poker. Alright? They don't like to sit on the sideline. They like to play in the field. Alright, cool.
You saw my hand, didn't you?
4 fold.
That's why you're over there.
Raise. 35. 6 fold.
So Kevin's going to go ahead and open up the ace-queen from +2, showing aggression when he's got a strong hand, usually a winning strategy. Prestige is going to make a speculative call with king-9 off in the hijack, but he does have position. Lynn is also going to find ace-queen in the straddle. I know that Kevin is in early position here, but I think ace-queen is definitely a strong enough hand when there's 3 other opponents that have shown weakness to try and isolate one of his opponents and put in a squeeze. It's a lot easier to win pots when you're in heads-up positions, especially if you're the aggressor, because you can continue to apply pressure, representing really strong hands across a number of boards. And then when you play as a 3-better, you're typically playing larger pots. And when they're in the heads-up position, you're going to have a much higher frequency of winning them. And we can see that our 5-5-10 board is a real good example of a board that would have been a really strong opportunity for Len to continue to apply that pressure. But because he opted for the flat call on the flop, or the pre-flop, that allows for Kevin to continue holding ownership over this specific hand. He makes the C-bet, and the rest of the players get out of the way, so he picks up a nice little pot there. Well played by Kevin. One of the best players I play with frequently. Really respect his game. Super fundamentally sound. Really thinks about his players and the positions and moves that they might be making before he acts. And you can see that pretty much reflected in every single hand that he plays.
5 fold, 6 fold, 7 fold, 8 fold, 5 fold. 1 fold, 2 fold. Raise. 35.
So we are on a blind versus blind battle here, and Lynn's going to open up the Jack-5 off, in which Aaron is going to make the easy defend with the 10-8 suited. Really playable hand. He's going to be rewarded with top 2 pair. Good for Aaron. Let's get this guy rolling with some hands that he can make some play with. Lynn's going to go ahead and continue betting here on the flop, as he was the pre-flop aggressor. Standard C-bet. Out of position to the tune of 35. Aaron with a decision make here. Considering he's in position, I expect to see a call a high frequency % of the time. But he elects to go for the aggressive route, trying to build this pot right away to the raise of 105. Unfortunately for Aaron, his opponent has nothing, and he's going to go ahead and take this hand down right away. So $70 being pushed in the direction of Aaron as he continues to work his way out of the hole that he's found himself in early here.
5-10, baby.
Lock in.
Kevin going to do his part by putting the straddle on for 10. And we're going to head to hand 39 for the evening as KJ deals it out.
Dang, we went from no chips to all the chips. Look at that.
It's gonna be all chips real soon, though.
One of our players just commented on Prestige going from no chips to all the chips, so I'm not the only one recognizing this
Of course,
run
like he said,
good
he's
right
going
now.
home. He didn't probably doubles up, so maybe it's some reverse psychology stuff. He's learned. He put it out there.
Jan has once again found a premium hand in the cutoff. Not quite as good as aces this time, but it is ace-queen. I will be in awe if he chooses to continue with his aces only strategy here. And it doesn't look like he will be doing so as he opens it up to 40, or maybe 30. Opens it up to 30 from the cutoff. Len is going to make the call with the queen 10 of diamonds in the small blind. A lot of people say that calling from the small blind isn't really an amazing strategy because it really incentivizes your blinds to continue along. That's a strategy that I generally agree with. You'll see here that Kevin is going to take the aggressive route, which does not shock me as he raises up his king-queen with good blockers and playability, especially heads up to 175, hoping to take this 2 ways to the flop. I expect to see Jan continue here, and I wouldn't even hate a 4-bet, though he is in position as if he was to continue this hand. The challenge with just calling here is it really invites your opponents that are behind you to come along as well. And a hand like ace-queen suited, even though it's suited multi-way, is just not going to be as playable as it would if you were taking this flop heads up and continuing to control this hand from a 4-bet perspective. So we head to the flop knowing that Kevin is dominated, but he's going to find a king right away to take leadership in this hand. But Jan is going to flop an absolute monster in the form of a royal flush draw. So any jack, any ace, any heart is going to give him the best hand, which you can see reflected at the top in the graphics and the available outs that he actually has, as those are live. Kevin's going to bet what I expect to be around 150 here, continuing to represent strong hands that he said that he possessed on the flop with his 3-bet. As played here, I'd be surprised by anything but a call from Jan. There's still a lot of chips left to be played from behind. Considering he's in position, there's no need to start to inflate this pot. An absolute blank on the river is going to allow for Kevin to continue with the best hand. Challenge here is starting to identify what are you targeting within your opponent's specific range. So Kevin's thinking about jacks, queens, ace-queen, ace-jack. These are hands that he can bet that his opponent may continue calling with. Any heart draw. And he continues with the smaller sizing, targeting those specifically. 225. Jan getting just about the amount of equity that he needs to continue and make this call, and that's not even considering the implied odds that are associated with this. So I think this is certainly a continue here for Jan.
You win a hand, you sit down. You win a hand, you sit down.
And it looks like he agrees. And he will push out 9 green chips to make the pot right. We'll head to the river. As Kevin is able to avoid the number of outs that Jan was chasing after, I wouldn't be shocked to see him check this, allowing for his opponent an opportunity to bluff if he'd like to. But he may continue betting, again for a small size, targeting those hands I mentioned earlier. Yep, a check on the end. And when you're in Jan's position here, you're really blocking the specific holding that you want your opponent to have. It's just really unlikely that you're going to win at showdown. And you can see here that he checks it back, feeling like this pot is already large enough, and he does have some showdown with the ace high. Kevin's going to scoop a nice one, so really well played by Kevin there. And, you know, not to go back on this, but this is just another instance right there showing the opportunity and value to apply pressure on your opponents. Len did have the queen 10 of diamonds. He was to put that 3-bet in there, would have flopped a really strong hand in trips, and a chance to win a big pot. But instead, the passive route led to him being ousted from the pot because of other players' aggressions, and he didn't even get to realize the potential of equity within his hand. Jan, once again, finding a premium hand. This guy should only be waiting around for these types of holdings, considering the way that he's running. Gonna open it up to $60, which over, I believe, the $25 straddle. Preston's gonna find a very playable 10-9 suited right away, in which I expect to make the call here, as he does. He's gonna be in position versus Jan throughout the entirety of the hand. Len also finding a similarly suited connector, this time of the 8-6 variety and spades. Aaron is in the small blind thinking devious thoughts with his king-6 suited, looking for an opportunity to capitalize on his opponent's weakness that they've shown, and he's going to take it by just calling. Okay. So Aaron going to play the king-6 suited out of position, looking for a chance to flop a couple of diamonds. And Prestige is surprisingly going to get out of the way, despite the $25 straddle and only 35 more to call. So we head to the flop 4 ways, 280 in the pot already, and we see an ace in the window. A couple of spades here. So Lynn is going to find a flush draw. Jan with top pair and the nut flush draw blocker. Aaron and Preston are going to completely whiff this flop, and when Jan bets this, they're going to go ahead and get out of the way. But I expect to see Lynn not only continue, but I would really like a raise in this spot. You can represent all the sets, obviously excluding aces. You can put pressure on your opponent. And then if you do find your flush, you have the opportunity to play a really big pot in position.
Like 100 into 420 or something?
Especially considering Jan bets such a small sizing into this specific pot, but he's going to go ahead and just call and evaluate turns. And we see a queen leading Jan to find top 2, meaning that he is likely not going anywhere.
I skirted disaster.
As he now beats flop hands that outflopped him, like ace-7 suited, ace-3 suited. Obviously, he's still losing to the sets, but when you're multi-way and you bet on the flop and your opponent smooth calls with a flush draw out there, it's just so unlikely that your opponent isn't going to speed up their hand when they're at that type of strength. You can feel really confident in your 2-pair here, which Jan does as he continues to fire, this time to the tune of 275. I would have liked even a larger sizing here. Your opponent has already expressed interest in continuing this hand. There's a number of draws that are available, including straight draws, flush draws. But he's actually going to get a fold out of his opponent for that 275 size, so perhaps it was correct.
How far are we from the bomb pot? Like 3-4 more hands?
Times
42.
like 18 minutes.
What's that sound like? Is that mine? Yep. Thank you.
Ready to 30? It's a 9-4. 1-4, 2-4.
So this time Magic finding one of the premium hands of the ace-queen suited. It looks like it's folding around here to Prestige, who is going to do the honorable thing of defending his straddle with the 5-4. Very playable from the straddle. And he's going to see a flop of 6-7 king, leading him to be open-ended as Magic whiffs. And again, he's going to exercise the donk lead strategy. Magic going to go ahead and just make the call this time. A little bit stronger than just the queen high holding he had last time. And he's going to find himself with a Broadway draw to go alongside his ace high currently. This jack doesn't particularly interact with prestige to a strong degree, but he's going to go ahead and continue firing because he said, you know, hey, I have a good hand on the flop. I still have a good hand. And you didn't raise, so you probably don't have a good hand either. And we're going to see a river of
Showdown. Ace high.
a 6. And ace high is going to take it down.
It's the best hand I've had. And King Jack was my previous best hand.
I'm okay with that.
Merry Christmas.
I was actually going to call it.
Watch it.
Me too. So far we've both folded every time we both said it.
Raise 30.
Maybe not this time. Maybe not.
It's not late enough for that kind of nonsense.
You have to wait till the low fold to the fold.
Oh, so you're buying it?
5 fold, 6 fold.
So Chris going to wake up with the pocket queens under the gun, get a call from Lynn with the ace jack off.
$2 in the pot.
And Magic's going to come along from the straddle with the king 5 offsuit. We'll see a flop of 6-6-3. Chris will feel very comfortable in this currently position with his overpair of queens, but he goes ahead and checks it, playing a little bit slow here. Over to Lynn, who's going to bet his ace high to the tune of $30. I expect to see Magic get out of the way here, and Chris has the option of either raising or calling, which he decides to take the passive route with a call, slow playing his queens. A 2 on the river is going to introduce an additional flush draw, this time of the spade variety. I expect to see Lynn check this back here, but he's going to go ahead and fire again for $50. I imagine he thinks that his ace high is best here, and he wants to continue to charge his opponent, as they might be holding any of those middling suited connector cards, 9-8, Jack 10, etc. He doesn't want to give them a free opportunity to improve. Chris is thinking about what he wants to do in this specific scenario, and now he's going to elect to raise, this time up to $175, targeting 7s plus. And Lynn has found himself in a weird spot here. This is why I would have liked to seen a check back on that turn. Just don't really think that you're going to get your opponent to continue with too many hands that you're ahead of, with the exception of maybe turn spades. But he's going to call, and he will not find any help on the river, as he still just has ace high. And Chris is in full I can fire away territory here. Targeting 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, and obviously folding to any raise on the river. Now, if Lynn has the willingness in him to make this play here and raise this river, there are so few hands that Chris has that he can make the call with. I think in this specific scenario here that Lynn is absolutely the most likely to have a 6, and he can tell his opponent that is what he has if he has a willingness to make that play, but he just makes the call thinking ace high might be good, and he's going to learn the bad news that it is in fact not, and he'll be shipping $325 additional over to Chris. So nice played hand there by Chris. will head to hand 43 as we just passed our second hour. So once again, thanks to everyone tuned in with us tonight for our Monday TCH Live 2-5 stream. This game started out with an initial buy-in
on live
of
stream.
maximum of 2,000. As we've continued on here, it's progressed to a match the stack game, allowing for opponents to find effective stacks at all time. Lynn's going to get a little bit tricky here and limp the ace-king off. And a couple of individuals are going to take his bait, with Kevin opening up the ace-9 suited to 45. Optimize is going to make the call with the king-jack suited on the button. And now Lynn can execute his master plan and come back in with the limp re-raise. I'm expecting something in the tune of the 200 territory. I'm not sure if the chips that he just bought are going to be in play for this specific hand. If not, okay, I've learned that they are. So I do understand him going with a little bit larger sizing here so he can build out this pot, allowing for him an opportunity to potentially maximize it. He's going to get an immediate fold right away from Kevin. He smells things are funny, doesn't want to get involved with a middling hand, but Optimize is not so much ready to give it up with a really easy to play post-flop hand.
He has 800 behind me. This thing.
Oh, he has $800 behind. I see.
Optimize asking the same questions that I would want to ask about his effective stack. Honestly, though, I don't think that this is worth getting involved with. You're only going to have a 2-to-1 stack to pot ratio with Lynn if you're going to make this call. Really takes away some of the advantage that the button and position offers, but Optimize disagrees, and he's not going to let it be pushed around by a limp re-raiser, so we're going to go see a flop. And he will be rewarded by out-flopping Lynn with a jack and top pair. Lynn does find 2 clubs, so he does have the backdoor nut flush draw capabilities. He can spike a queen. There are aces available. And he's going to continue telling the story that he has a strong hand, but only with a bet of $50. I'm not sure what story he's trying to tell with this specific sizing. It's effectively a check, and Optimize complies by making the call. We'll see a 6 of diamonds on the turn. And now Lynn is kind of in no man's land, but he's going to continue firing, this time for 300. And if Optimize is going to make the call on the flop, effectively check back the turn. I cannot see him folding this turn bet to less than a half-size pot bet. You've come along this far. But he does. So Lynn takes it down. A little bit of an unorthodox play, but he's going to be rewarded the pot for it. So well played there by Lynn.
That's what I would have had.
See what you started out was like.
That's what I had. That had been my reaction.
Everyone's slurping.
Man, if I had a flush draw, the whole chip up, you know.
Oh yeah, trash man.
You got me down.
Fold.
I'd have got her.
3 fold.
Or thumb on down.
4 raise to 35.
So AA Ron hopping back into the option or into the action with the 10-8 suited of the heart variety. Kevin going to call with the pocket 7s from the hijack. Prestige, of course, going to come along with an ace. on the button. And Chris going to play as well with what looks to be Jack 10 off. Taking away one of Aaron's outs here, but he does have control over the hand, being the pre-flop aggressor. We see an ace right away, giving Prestige the best hand after the flop. Aaron not really finding too much to work with the exception of a couple of backdoor draws, including Broadway, as well as a flush draw. He's going to continue despite facing 3 opponents, which he will get a call from, at least one, potentially 2, with Chris drawing 2 Broadway with the king. And when there's multiple players in the hand, it really incentivizes you to come along when you're searching off hands like flush or gut shots. Because if you're able to hit them, it's that much more likelihood of a chance that one of your opponents is going to also possess a strong hand, and you're going to get a lot of action from it. Aaron, I expect to shut this down. Yep, checks it over to Prestige, who I imagine will be betting. Going again with his target of middling hands with a smaller bet. I like it. He's going to get a fold from his first opponent, and certainly a fold from Aaron. Once again, we're going to push chips Prestige's way, as he simply cannot lose a hand. Well played there.
Just not much.
No, I said it's better. I've had a pair.
Oh.
Five, 10. Call. 4 fold.
Yeah.
Five fold, 6 fold.
Your face kind of told me that one draw is
7 raised to 40. There you go.
your face told me that I potentially had it with my face.
Quite good.
Non-call. 1 fold, 2 fold.
So it's going to fold around to Prestige in the cutoff, who's going to open up 5-4 off. Chris is going to defend his small blind with King 10 off, and Lynn is also going to continue with the King Jack. Chris is going to flop the best of it with the top pair and the 10. Prestige also going to find a pair though, this one bottom with the 5, with the 4. But it's going to check around as we head to the turn, which is the 8 of diamonds, really increasing the connectivity of this board, not only for the flush draw, but also straight draw. Lynn does pick up not only a open-ender, but also a diamond flush draw. This one to the second nuts. Chris isn't quite willing to give this hand up though. After Lynn bets 130, he still has top pair, so he wants to see the river. He checks, and we'll see the 6 of clubs on the river. Lynn sitting with King High. He's going to have to bet this to win, and I think he's going to have to bet rather large. Something like 310, 315. Goes for 400. I really like this sizing. This puts a lot of pressure on any 9, any 10. And he's going to get it through, so really nice bet there by Lynn. Well played.
Although you do get paid if you have 4 of a kind and
Operating. 35.
So we're back to the action here. Kevin has found himself another middling pocket pair. This one, the eights variety. He's going to open up to 35 plus 2, but Prestige is going to look down at the magical black aces. He's going to raise it up to a really small size of 75. Easy call for Kevin here as he looks to hit a set and hopefully play a big pot. And we'll head to the flop. Both players are going to flop an overpair on this 3-5-2 board. Kevin's going to check it over to Prestige, who will continue. For a bit of a large sizing, looks around 2/3 pot, 125. I expect to see Kevin call here and evaluate turns. A lot of players elect to raise in this position, and I think that's a pretty significant mistake because really what hands are you targeting for your opponent to continue with that beat you? Essentially, they're going to fold out the hands that you're ahead of and call the ones that are beating you. Just because you flop an overpair on a board doesn't necessarily mean you have the best hand. Prestige going to continue for a sizing of $300 this time, telling the story that he has a strong hand, which we can obviously see he does, but there's a number of holdings here that he could be doing this as well. Ace highs, any diamond combinations, and we'll see that Kevin has not fully bought into the story that he does have the premium that he does. And Kevin is going to find the miracle 8 on the river. If I'm in Kevin's shoes here, I am going for the absolute maximum and punishing my opponent if they do in fact overpairs, because they're likely going to shut down if I check it over to them. If they don't, this is a dream spot.
Exactly.
You can see Kevin reaching for black chips. I expect something in the 825 region here. 525, so really just targeting a call from his opponent. And you can see right away that we're going to get that call, and Kevin's going to show his full house. I really think that Kevin could have gone even larger there. You can see his disappointment when he just saw his opponent's hand, that he likely was not going to be folding. Obviously, it's easier when we know what our opponents have, but when you start to think about what could our opponent wake up with in this position, I guess that's a sizing that makes sense if you think your opponent might call with ace high, but it's hard for me to say whether I think Prestige would be making that, because he has shown a willingness to put his chips in the middle. But again, I think that's all even the merit for really going for the maximum there when you have the effective nuts. There's only so many opportunities you find to really play large pots, and when you do get yourself to that point, you really want to maximize it.
6 ways to 40.
But still, really nice win there by Kevin as he pulls in over a $2,000 pot, and we will head to our next hand. Optimize going to open up the suited wheel from the +2 position to the tune of $40. Aaron's going to defend his straddle with the 9-8 off. And we'll see a 9 into the window as Aaron takes the lead within this hand pretty significantly. Optimize does have opportunity to represent the king. I imagine he will c-bet this somewhere probably around $30 to $35. 35 is the amount. I expect to see Aaron make a call here, and we will see as the turn develops. Optimize looking for a club. He is not able to find one. In fact, there's a hand, or that's a card that has no value to him at all. And I expect to see him slow down as it connects rather well with what his opponent's holdings would be. But he's actually going to go ahead and continue firing, trying to tell the story that he has king and a strong card to pair with it. And this now puts Aaron in a bit of a challenging spot because he's now faced 3 streets of aggression, including the pre-flop. But he's not quite done with the hand yet, as he knows that Optimize has a number of holdings that he could make this exact play with. And Aaron will find the gut shot for the one-liner. He has a straight. I expect to see him bet here. As he tries to charge his opponent's potential kings, he goes super big. $300. He's going to make this decision really easy for Optimize. But I get it. If your opponent has something like a set of kings, a set of nines, a pair, you want to put them in a spot that they feel like they have to call. The spade draw bricked out, but his opponent is going to go ahead and fold. But Aaron's going to take one down, so good for him as he continues to mount the comeback and execute really strong play.
Keep those arms right where they are.
What is that all about?
He's thirsty.
I'm thirsty, man. I'm thirsty for some of those. Some of those Kevin chips.
Slurping right at him, dude.
I'm salivating. I'm ready for his big punt.
All the while.
I'm ready for that Kevin triple barrel ace high stuff. That's what I'm ready for. You gonna do that again this stream? Just give me the whole stack. I'll call down with like the bottom pair and look like a god. Let me do that.
So it looks like we are going to switch out dealers. KJ's time has come up, and we're going to be with Jesse for the next couple of hours, and we're going to kick off his arrival with an honorary PLO double board bomb pot. Everyone places $10 into the pot as an ante. They all receive 4 cards, and we're going to head to 2 separate flops. The pot will be divided in 2, and all of the players are competing for the 2 pots separated by the 2 boards. Players will play the best collection of 2 cards for each board of any of the number of 4 in their hand. So we see a 5-4-8 board on the top, a couple of spades, as well as a jack-deuce-deuce on the bottom. We'll see right away that Kevin does have the second nuts in the form of jack-2 in his hand, but working not too much on the top board, just a single 8. Looks like Optimize does have the flush draw for the top board. Give me a second as I read these hands. Magic has flopped a straight with the 7-6. We've got a bet from Chris with also the jack-2. So this is one of the challenges of PLO double board bomb pots, is the opportunity for your opponents to have the same hand. No one is going to improve, but there is a better full house now on the board with kings full as well as jacks full. Magic's going to check his straight, which is the best hand. Now, when the board comes king-king, obviously that makes it a lot less likely that an opponent would have pocket kings in their hand. Chris is going to fire with his jack-deuce-deuce, or with his jack-deuce to the tune of 250, which I believe is just around pot. Kevin trying to decide here what he'd like to do. He's got the 3rd best full house, which in a double board bomb pot, when you don't have another board locked up and it's multi-way, you don't feel amazing about the position that you're in. And also, there's not a ton of room for improvement for Kevin, but it's a reasonable size, so he's going to go ahead and continue and evaluate rivers. Prestige is going to get out of the way. I didn't even get the chance to notice what he had. And Magic obviously has the nuts on the top, so he doesn't want to go anywhere. But straights and bomb pots are so vulnerable to changes in board texture, whether it be a paired board or spade reels off. And he has absolutely nothing on the bottom board that lends him to feel comfortable with the position that he's in. On top of that, even if he has the best hand on the single board, which you can see that he did, he's going to go ahead and fold it because there's a strong likelihood for a chop potential. And look at Kevin. Kevin is going to scoop this bomb pot by finding the queen on the end and his 8 playing on the top board. This is a magical run out for Kevin. But he doesn't love it. He's going to call begrudgingly, and he's going to be happy to see that he is scooping this pot. As Magic lets out an audible curse word. Apologize to any youngins that might be listening, because he realizes that his straight was good. But again, in a bomb pot, you just can't be confident in straights holding up. And then you can't even be confident in straights being the singular best hand as a result of the run out, because you're so frequently going to chop. There's 3 more combinations of the cards you're using. Or excuse me,
I was
there's,
definitely not thinking that hand.
I
I did
guess,
not feel good about that hand.
there's 6.
That was one of those
I'm
calls.
not sure exactly how it works.
I almost beat it on the turn.
Yeah.
Yo, I was at the
How many is there? How many? If it's straight, 7.
great.
Yeah.
There's 6, so 6, and then 4, and then I think it's 12 combinations. Yeah, 12 combinations of potential straights out there. So you're just chopping so often, and when you're chopping, you're really getting 3/4. So Magic let it go. So nice hand there for Kevin. Finds that queen on the end to really take that pot. And we're back to the action. Jan going to find a playable 8-7 suit. I think this is the first hand Jan's played without face cards. Going to open it up to $45. Going to get a call from Lynn with the ace-5 suited. Again, if you're going to play this hand out of the small blind, no reason to invite your other opponents and apply some aggression. You have a really playable hand with a good blocker and take it heads up, but that's just my opinion. We're going to see a really connected 8, 9, 10 flop rainbow. Aaron's going to find middle pair and the best hand with an open ender. Jan is going to find bottom pair with a similar open ender, but the bad end of it. We're going to see a bet from Prestige with bottom pair to the tune of $100. I cannot remember who the pre-flop opener was. Oh, it was Jan. Prestige going to go with his commonly deployed donk strategy, but he's going to get a call from Jan, and now it's over to Aaron, who's really in the best position to win this pot with not only the best hand currently, but also a really good opportunity to improve. He's going to go ahead and make the call and evaluate changes that might occur as a result of the turn. We'll see an 8, giving Prestige the best hand. So the donk strategy once again works out for Prestige as he takes the lead in this hand. He's only going to bet $200. You're facing multiple opponents on a board that's really dynamic. This feels like a bet that Prestige isn't sure if he's ahead. Doesn't feel like he can stop betting. Fortunately for him, Jan has the same 8, but a worse kicker. He does have the opportunity to find outs with the 7 in the form of a jack or a 6. Aaron going to get out of the way, as he is not sure if his straight is even good if it does come to fruition. And I think he's just tired of playing hands against Prestige, honestly. I don't blame him. Prestige is going to lock this hand up here. He's got the opportunity to get a significant amount of value out of Jan. Let's see what he goes with. If he's going to follow his trends of earlier tonight, he's going to bet something around $225, but he's going to go a little bit bigger here this time. Looks like around 500. I like the sizing. He gets a call. And Prestige is going to continue to run like the sun following his tough start. So, well played there by Prestige. Tremendous job to smack that 8 on the turn. We're going to keep moving forward here. We got just about 90 minutes left to the stream. We all know the last hour is the best opportunity for some tremendous action, as we certainly like to see multiple straddles in play as we decrease the amount of blinds in the stacks, really leading to an opportunity to get lots of chips involved in the middle.
All in the name of range advantage or some shit.
So Magic going to find a really playable ace-queen over the $25 straddle. He's going to open it up to 75, standard sizing. He's going to fold all the way around to Optimize, who will continue the trend. Back to Prestige, who continues his run good. This time, once again, finding the best hand ever in poker. And he only raises it $100 to $175. Making a really easy call for Magic. You have such an opportunity to get yourself to the point that you can easily get stacks in by the river. But now it's going to be even more of a challenge because it's a 3-to-1 stack ratio as opposed to what it should be. And he's just going to blast the flop for $400 on the 3-2-4 board.
Look at that. I was like, no 150 this time.
That's the exact same flop?
No, it was 2-5, I think.
Yeah, it was like 5-2-3 or 5-2-4-3.
I was like,
so,
150, 125 this time.
A little bit of an unorthodox play there, going with the small re-raise on the before the flop, and then just blasting the flop as it comes 2-3-4 with really nothing to worry about. But he takes the hand down, and who am I to criticize, because this man is on a heater, dominating the table right now. So once again, we get a number of folds around to the blinds. Optimize going to open up the ace-7 off. And Prestige just going to keep it rolling, this time with ace-kings off, in which he will elect to raise over Optimize's limp for $60, and we will head to a flop in which Optimize is unknowingly dominated. Neither player is going to particularly connect with the flop, but Optimize will find himself at the gutter. Once again, he's going to fire for significant size on the flop. And he's going to show his opponents, I'm the best, you cannot beat me. Why do you even play hands with me?
Calling 60 with a 3 and then you're pulling out 3 calls.
Okay, well. Alright, just sleeve loop by it. I guess that's true.
That's my motto, man. If I play a 3, if I get in there for 60 with a 3,
Freaking get it.
one fair, I mean, I gotta see
Fair
at least a
assessment.
number.
Fair assessment, yeah. If you get in there with that 5-3, you can't be running away.
That was a call. Sorry. Oh my. That was my fault. Space out.
So we're back to the action here, and our friend Chris in the 9th seat is going to open up the king queen off with a +1. Pretty close to a hand that he considered tossing just from that specific position. Gonna get a couple of calls from some raggedy cards. Prestige in there with the raggedy of them all is going to flop potentially the best hand, despite it being a monotone board, being open-ended. No leverage is commonly utilized donk lead strategy. This time to the tune of 65. Magic is going to call flopping top pair. Going to see a king on the turn. Not changing too much. And Prestige now finds himself with 6 high on the turn and no flush draw. He's going to go ahead and continue firing. This time for a reasonable, looks to be 110, of which Magic will go ahead and call right away. And we will head to a river, which is another jack if Magic wasn't feeling comfortable enough with his 1 before. Now he's got 2. Prestige finds himself with 6 high on the river, in which he elects to give up, checks it over, and Magic will take this down.
Is Kevin allowed to leave the table?
Oh, did he take his leash off?
I know. What? Yeah, look, it's there. He should not have been around.
Undertones of gimp there. Undertones of the gimp there.
So Preston finding a premium here. The pocket kings, 2nd best hand ever created. Opening it up to 30, getting a call from Optimize with the queen 9, Prestige with the 10-9, and Chris with the random 4-2. A couple of his opponents here are going to flop some pairs, but Preston's still out front with the kings, and he's going to continue betting as a result. Optimize not going anywhere after flopping top pair. Optimize, or Prestige, getting ambitious as possible, searching for a jack for an open-ender, but he is going to find an 8 instead, giving him real no help. Preston should feel pretty comfortable here, even though 7-6 does get there, and he will continue firing, this time to the tune of 125. Looking to charge queens, 7s, 6s, 9s, etc.
His hand on that one hand that you guys were talking about?
Ace-5 of hearts.
What do you have?
Optimize is going to make the really disciplined fold here after 2 streets of aggression into multiple players, letting go that top pair. And Prestige did turn a gutter.
What is the amount again? 125? Do you mind if he shows the last one? You can't? Not unless you're not listening. Okay. Good hand.
Prestige wants to see another to know if that Miracle Jack would have came.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Yours is probably better than mine. though. I get this.
Well,
So Preston can open up. King Jack suited from the +1 position and get re-raised by Optimize with the same King Jack suited, this time of the spade variety from the cutoff. Prestige going to make the call with the pocket fours from the button because why not? He cannot lose a hand, so obviously he's going to flop a set. Back on Preston, who has a decision to make. And I expect for him to come along, which he does. Pretty playable hand and really easy to know where you stand. See a king in the window. King 10-9. Preston does flop backdoor potential, so you can see that's why he has the 1% extra of equity in this specific hand. I expect to see Optimize continue here for around 125, and that's exactly what he does. Prestige still not giving up the dream of that set, and it could be a real doozy if he was able to find it on the turn. Preston not ready to give up on his hand either after flopping the top pair king. And we see a 10, which from the perspective of Optimize is not particularly a card that he was interested in seeing, as his opponents can frequently have a number of 10s here. Jack 10, Queen 10, Ace 10, etc. But we're going to check around to the river, in which nothing changes, and we will see a chop pot here as long as it gets to showdown. We see a check from Preston. Now's decision time for Optimize. Does he feel like his hand is strong enough to value bet? He does block Queen Jack. He does block Jack 10. What hands would he be seeking value from? Your guess would be as good as mine, but he's going to go ahead and bet $350. Prestige says, I haven't lost a hand yet. Why would I fold this? And he's thinking about what possibilities could be in place. He's intelligently going to let it go, as he just had bottom pair, almost playing the board. And now for Preston, it just feels like if you make this call here, you're going to see a king with a better kicker nearly every time, whether it's ace-king or king-queen. But it looks like that he is willing to pay that price if that's the case. And fortunately for him, if he does make this call here, half the pot will be sent his way, and that's what we're going to see as he makes the call, to see that his opponent does in fact have a very similar hand to him. In fact, the exact same hand. So we'll see a chop pot here as they will split up.
Well, good.
Prestige's $225. And each of them will be effectively $212 wealthier. So, well played by both. And we will head to hand 55 on the evening.
He had ace king. Did he at least have clubs?
So right away, we're back into action with Len opening up ace-king off from the +1 position to 40. Optimizes finds the playable Jack-8 suited from the hijack. Go ahead and make the call in position. See what he'll be able to develop on the flop if he can make it there. And it looks like that he will, as our blinds likely got out of the way. So we're headed to a flop that is 2-9-3, one spade. Not all that bad for Jack-8 suited, all things considered. Len's going to go ahead and check, and Optimize is going to check back. To find a 10 on the turn.
You guys are having the conversation.
I think in my specific spot, if I was Optimized, I would have started betting there when my pre-flop razor showed weakness. Because after we go check, now Len has a really strong opportunity to make this call on the turn and see a river. Whereas if he starts barreling on the flop and he sees a favorable turn card like he does here, it's really easy to start. Oh, he told me. It's really easy to see. It's really easy to continue applying pressure to your opponent and get them off their hand. And if they decide to become sticklers and they do call you down for 2 streets, you always have a 3rd street to continue firing that barrel and win the hand in that instance. Or, you know, the dream occurs that we end up with a made hand on the river in which we can really go for value. So, just some food for thought there. All right, on to the next hand. Aaron raises to 40 in the +1 with the 10-9 of hearts. Makes its way over to Prestige, which I'm sure he loves to see, has made the call with the ace-3 off. And we're over to Preston in the big blind with the king-queen off. I think when your opponent opens under the gun, letting king-queen go in the big blind position when you only have 5 invested is a fine enough strategy. But of course, Prestige is going to just smash this flop, finding top and bottom pair. Very well disguised. Unfortunately for him this time, his opponents don't possess anything that's going to allow for them to pile significant amounts of money into the flop, or into the pot currently. But Aaron is going to exercise his right to c-bet by continuing this for 75. Prestige, of course, is going nowhere. And we will head to a turn, which is an ace, because why not? Prestige now with the effective nuts. And we will head to a river as he intelligently checks back, allowing his opponent an opportunity to find perhaps a card that really improves the strength of his hand. Aaron is going to go ahead and bet to the tune of 200 on the river. He has 10 high here and knows that he's not going to win this hand unless his opponent folds. I think the bet in a vacuum is certainly fine, and it makes sense from the way the hand's been played. And Prestige is just, oh, he goes all in. Okay, I thought he just called. Well played there by Prestige. It's always nice to flop 2 pair and turn a boat. And it's even better to get a little paid for it. So, continues his run of dominance. And it doesn't seem like that's going to be slowing down anytime soon. Well, you can see our current earnings here on the screen. A number of players, including Kevin, far up in the earnings graphic, primarily from that bomb pot, as well as the set of 8 or full house that he made with the 8s on the end. And Kevin's got a chance to continue to grow his stack here as he finds pocket kings in the under the gun position and is immediately 3-bet and then called from Optimized with the 7-5 suited and Prestige with the 6-5. It's going to fold back around to Kevin, where I expect to see a 4-bet here that's likely going to end this hand. But let's take a guess at sizing after a call in the middle. I anticipate seeing something around 400 here. That sizing would give Optimize an opportunity to make the call or jam it in there, giving him less than a pot size bet remaining. 450, so pretty close. Good sizing there. Optimize knows that he has now walked into it, and he has no business being in this hand. And we're going to see a couple of quick folds after some posturing. Unless, of course, Prestige says, you have $5,000 in front of you. I have $5,000 in front of me. And I am way more likely to win this hand than you are, considering what's happened so far. And that is what is going to happen. So Kevin will be heading to a flop in dominating position over the 6-5. With $1,000 already in the pot, we are looking at 4 to 1, 4.5 to 1 stack pot ratios here with over 1,000 in the pot already. And Kevin sees a 10-10-2 flop. I expect to see a bet somewhere in the 350 range from Kevin. And I just don't think this is a spot that if Prestige goes crazy here, Kevin is ever getting away from. So he goes even smaller, that's 250. It's a strategy I like to deploy when pots are so, yep. He's inducing this from his opponent. Prestige raises it to 700. I expect to see a smooth call here from Kevin, allowing his opponent the opportunity to hang himself, if it is the case. Obviously, he's not in love with this spot because his opponent could have a 10. But if he's been paying attention to the way that Prestige has been playing today, which I know for a fact that Kevin has, I don't believe he's going to shy away from this opportunity. And you can see here that he's reaching for calling chips. So we will head to a turn with 2,400 in this pot, in which Kevin is a 97% favorite. We see a 2 on the turn, giving Kevin checkmark. As long as he can avoid Prestige, absolutely putting the pressure on him to steal this pot, which it appears to be his strategy to win this, as he pushes what looks to be around 1,200 chips across the betting line for a half-size pot bet. Again, Kevin is not in love with this situation, but when you consider the way action has gone down so far tonight, I can't see an opportunity that Kevin is going to get away from this one. And he'll be rewarded if he doesn't. The challenge for Kevin here is that he has to identify, oh, and that's not a card that he would love to see. He has to identify what potential hands would Prestige be doing this with. He checks it back on the river and gives up. Kevin breathes a sigh of significant relief, turns his cards over as he scoops in our biggest pot of the night, totaling over $4,000, and he's rewarded as his opponent goes crazy with 6 high in a 4-bet pot. So well played there from Kevin, and you can see with that one, he has significantly jumped his way into first place for this stream, practically dominating all of the potential earnings so far tonight. And you can see that he is spending quite a significant amount of time as he stacks up the numerous black chips that are headed in his direction.
You'll have to watch the.
I grabbed this card so they're both steroid here. Not even 100%. Those are
Cards. Those are your cards, right? I didn't look. I didn't look. So
I know what I
those are your cards, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
You have to look at the recording.
What I fought for. That's the hand. I can hard ball.
Yeah, you've been better off with the one I
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you remember the race?
I know, I'm asking, I'm putting it out there.
So, looks like we're on a flop here. Sorry, I missed the action. Looks like we had a limp from Prestige and a raise from Magic with the ace-jack of diamonds, and got a call from Prestige. Magic flops top pair and bets into Prestige, who proceeds to call. We've gone to a turn which has brought in the diamond flush draw, only improving Magic's hand here, and Prestige is now led out on the turn, shifting his donk strategy from the flop approach to this time the turn, changing it up a little bit on Magic, and looks like he's having none of that as he counts out what appears to be raising chips and does so potentially to the tune of 350, 375, and Prestige is going to go ahead and fold right away. So looks like we've got a little bit of a turn in terms of some of that Prestige run good that was going on for quite a while here in the stream. But we are approaching the final hour, which, if you had to say it, the best time for things to start kicking your way would be right about now, as typically our straddles go up and our action gets stronger. So let's see if he can recoup some of that for our final time here.
can think of a few more I'd like to ask.
Even over a lot.
What did you say about the lunch?
Games are bad.
Like, just kind of like wild.
No, like very
So we've got Lynn with the 10-9 of diamonds on the button, opening things up. Prestige going to come along with the 5-2 off, searching for some magic, and he finds it in the form of a gutter. Optimized with the 10-7 suited. Not really working with much currently. Prestige going to go ahead and donk bet out and take it down.
That was so easy. Just a little tickle.
I had a nice draw.
And he's of course going to show the 2-5.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we make it too easy. He just tickles and we're gone.
He straddled the side.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like, something human.
You can put on 50 as well.
Later gets
You deal me something better than 7-4. I guess.
Oscillation is good.
Keeps the person connected and everything.
So we're back on the action here. It looks like Magic has ace-king off, +1, opening things up at 40. Folded around to the blinds, and Prestige is his last line of defense to pick up those blinds. And I expect he's going to continue, because why not?
What do you mean?
We see a king 4-2 flop, much to the delight of Magic. No donk bet this time, sadly for him. And he's going to bet, and he's going to take it down.
No, he told me, you can throw on the 50. You deal me something better than 74, and I will. And then I get ace king.
That's when you had that kind of like ace queen, ace queen.
Ace queen twice, ace king.
Yeah, they changed all the chips. Good way to just ostracize some people out on the email list. Good luck. I started a company back in
Fixed rate is 150. That's a lot.
back in 2013. What's that?
I started a company back in
No. Yeah, BC. BC. And it was called Optimize Overseas. It was an outsourcing company. So I still have it. I don't know why I said it was. But anyway, I'm just on the radio. I need to optimize my gamer tag and all my other stuff. So I'm just on the radio, you know.
Optimize prime.
As opposed to optimist, yeah.
6 bet 250.
Okay, here. Yeah, okay, it's good now. I just had to turn it on. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Some technical difficulties. So we're back in the action here. It looks like quite the hand, actually. We had an open from Kevin with the Queen 10 suited and a re-raise from Optimize with the 150 and then a call. Kevin is on the button and called Optimize $250 bet as one flopped top pair and the other flopped the flush draw in the version of Kevin. Optimize has checked, and once Kevin has turned the open ender, he's ripped it in. And yeah, I don't see Optimize going anywhere here, but it doesn't appear to me that the stack sizes are quite correct because I see a number of pink chips that Optimize likely added on for it, and it looks like we just got it adjusted here. So, yep, as I mentioned, Optimize check, Kevin bets 600 on the turn. There's still 1.5 remaining, and Kevin gets there both ways. He finds the King of Hearts for the nut flush, continuing his strong run for tonight. And Optimize is stuck with just top pair and the queen kicker, not in a spot that he's loving, as a number of draws have just made it to the river. And it's going to be really challenging for him to wake up with the best hand on the end here, especially once Kevin likely jams all in on the river here. So Kevin does go ahead and jam it all in, and Optimize is absolutely in the blender here as he's seeking for any chance that he can find his opponent doesn't have a better hand than him. And the challenge here is there's just simply not that many hands that take this line that he's beating. So Kevin going to take down another big one. Well played there. It's always great when you can find the nuts on the river. I imagine in a perfect world he would have liked to see a black king there, as it looks like his heart draw miss. But you take what you can get.
I'm trying to think what you had in that situation.
He's like,
You're calling. Yeah, when you called the 600 on the turn, that was like.
F this guy, man.
man, I'm ready to eat, man. I'm tired of this
I'm
guy.
adding on
Over here.
$2,000. Away with a double up of all my money back from this little slurper.
That was pretty funny.
Captain Slurp.
He's wearing his mask, so wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't as audible. It was kind of muffled. It was kind of muffled behind his mask, you know.
5 raise, 35. Where are you from? Ghana, right? Where are you from? Prague? Alright, cool. Colorado originally, but been here in Texas for the last, God, how long? 6 years. Last 6 years. Are you familiar with the state?
So we are back here with a number of premium hands once again, and of course Kevin waking up the best of it, this time pocket kings.
Mostly based
So we saw a raise from Kevin and then a 3-bet from Magic, who was then men-bet, surprisingly, by Kevin to 300, in which we see a call. So we are headed to the flop with 2-1 stack of pot ratios, in which we see an ace that neither opponent will significantly love. This might end up even saving Magic a bit of money. Kevin is going to be second to act in position here. He's not necessarily fearful of this ace. He's going to go ahead and continue firing. Looks like around 225 if I saw it correctly, and I did not. 175 is proper action. I don't see Magic folding to this bet size. I expect him to call and evaluate risk, but he's going to go ahead and just let it go. Doesn't feel like he wants to battle that out, and he's going to be rewarded with his decision when Kevin shows him the kings and that he was behind. So Kevin has been able to accumulate his chip stack up to 9,000 from his initial 2K buy-in. So
6,000.
certainly a successful night up to this point for him so far, but things can turn quickly, so he needs to continue the strong play that we've seen thus far. And also, it doesn't hurt when you're finding the cards that you need to make really strong hands on the river.
He didn't say the thing, but it's like we're doing a bomb pop.
So Kevin once again going to get back in the action here, this time not with pocket kings, a little bit less more valuable king jack off, opening things to 35. It's going to fold around to the blinds, in which Magic is going to make the call with the ace-9 off, and Jan is going to look down at a similar ace-9, but this time of the suited variety, and come along as well. Jan is going to double check his cards because yes, indeed, he did just flop the nuts Kevin's going to check to see, do I have the king of clubs? He's going to be disappointed when he sees that he does not. So it goes checks around. Jan once again checking. Check, check, check. Jan is throwing up because he cannot get anybody to put money in this pot. And he checks again for the third time. Kevin, I believe, is going to bet this king, considering nobody has shown any interest in winning this pot. He does so for $75. So after 3 checks, Jan finally gets an opponent to put some money in the pot when he has the best possible hand. And obviously we're going to see a raise here. I can't expect it to be for too much more than 200. And it's going to be really challenging for Kevin to make this call because it's just such a strange line. It's like, okay, you're going to check 3 times, and then finally on the river, you're going to wake up with something. And that's pretty much exactly how a flop flush might play it. But it looks like he's going to go pretty large here. And he slides out about $360. I just don't see this call worth it to Kevin. So we put $100 in the pot. Maybe $300 more to call. Yep, he lets it go. It's well played there by Kevin. Unfortunate for Jan. It's really a reflection of what it means to play pots out of position and passively. It's just challenging to win big hands when you do find those value opportunities.
Oh, that's great.
Haven't played enough bomb pots to like him yet?
So we are on to a double board bomb pot. Looks like Optimize has nut flush draw on the top board. Got middle set for Chris W, who's called the pot size bet from Prestige, who flopped the bottom end of a straight. Aaron going to come along with top pair on both boards, looking for some improvement. But no player really has too much going on for him on both, with the exception of Chris W. Aaron improves to top 2 on both. Chris still with the middle or bottom set on the top. Prestige now with still the best hand board with the low end of the straight. Aaron is going to rip it all in with the top 2 on both boards. He's actually 100% to win the bottom board. And he cannot find a king or a queen to fill up on the top. So this is going to be a chop pot, and we will return back to our normal operations.
Peter just hit a 10 up there. No, you made at least 20.
But you know what? It's just so fucking perfect. And all I use it for is bunkers and bunkers. My 56 is my punch around my blade. No, I'm old school, man. Did my Hogan edges? I bought them in 1994. Hey, get these clubs I have anywhere. You can get them online. Used. You ain't gonna do that. These are old school Ford Hogan edges. Before that, I played.
So Aaron's going to open up the king jack off from +2 position, getting called by Prestige. The king 2 of clubs, as well as magic on the button with the 7-5 off. And why not? Chris is going to come along and queen 8 suited as well. See a queen, helping Chris improve to top pair. Aaron does have a gutter. He's going to check. I don't hate this considering it's 4 ways. Prestige is going to go ahead and try to take control of this pot by betting 50 with some backdoor opportunities and nobody showing any real interest in this hand up to this point so far. I expect to see Aaron make this call. He only has to call 50 and there's 275 in the pot, but he's actually going to do more than that. He's going to apply pressure as the pre-flop raiser here. Looking to take this pot down right now, which could be successful, considering the strongest objection that he's up against has already just flat called. But he's not willing to give it up quite yet, so he's going to make that call. The ace of clubs on the turn is of significant advantage for Aaron. He can continue to represent strong hands in this spot, and he decides to rip it all in. This would be a tremendous call from Chris with a really middling queen if he can make it. I just don't see him doing so. Feels like it's suicide. How often are you going to be good here? Your opponent check raises the flop after being the pre-flop raiser, and the ace comes on the turn. This is really well played by Aaron here. Yep, really well played. Nice hand, Aaron. Glad to see one getting pushed your way.
I think it was good that you re-raised. I think it was pretty good that you re-raised, but you would have been very upset with me.
You've had my number all night, so yeah, I probably wouldn't have loved it.
Oh man.
Aaron acknowledging the fact that Prestige has indeed done a tremendous job going up against Aaron. Sometimes that's just the way it is. Can't overcome opponents when they're just running like the sun. All right, so back to the play of action here. I believe we have around 50 minutes left.
That'll be tough to do.
And Chris is going to go ahead and raise it up with ace 5 off from the button. Yawn.
This is very true.
Folding the pocket twos.
Without knowing the percentage.
But Preston going to give us some action with the king 9 suited out of the big blind. We'll see a flop of queen jack 3 with 1 club.
I have a bunch of them ready.
started bluffing, right? And then I got there on the river. That was your problem.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when a card like that comes off, I get to.
So it gets unplugged.
Yeah.
You're falling a lot of bricks. Every brick you're falling.
I would have had a hard time with the queen 10, so you might have gotten paid off.
Take, right? Yeah, of course. But like, what about like a deuce? Bro.
Yeah, I'd have gotten away from it. It was a lot. So, 600. It's like, please fold. Please fold. Please fold.
All right, so on to hand number 67 for the evening. Folding around up to this point so far, we go to Chris with queen 9 off.
Well, I think
Go ahead and open it up to 30.
Absolutely nothing we could have had.
Preston once again.
Nothing I do on that river.
Finding a pocket pair. Lynn with a very playable 8-7 suited. Looks like he's going to go ahead and take an aggressive route and raise it up to 180. It's a pretty large raise size. You know, you got a caller in between. You're out of position. 5x is rather appropriate. This game does run a little bit larger, so 180 isn't anything extreme, but goes ahead and takes it down. So well done there by Lynn.
Kevin all night. I'm going to put some of those delicious black and pink chips in the pot. I have a draw. I will hit. Must be nice to river the nuts like that. All part of the game. All part of the game. Must be nice.
So we've got Chris. Let's see what happened here. So we got Prestige. Looks like opening up 3 deuce suited or unsuited. Well done. We got a call from Magic in the low jack. And Chris W proceeds to bump it up with King Queen off and be rewarded for his aggression by flopping an open ender, of which he will proceed to bet on. Considering Prestige got in this with the 3-2, I don't imagine him going anywhere, and it looks like he's going to get crazy with it. Tough time to do so, because this is a board that connects rather well with him. The downside of this here is that his opponent happens to have a very strong draw. So he'll be going nowhere as Prestige raises it up from 125 to 425, putting a lot of pressure on Chris within this specific hand. Again, considering he's in position, I don't see him going anywhere, and he does oblige by making the call. And we head to a turn, which is a 3. So Prestige now has showdown value. He should continue firing, which he does, to the tune of 575. If he can just fade a king, queen, ace, or 9 on this river, Prestige is going to have a really good opportunity to win a significant pot and move back towards that direction we were seeing earlier. But Chris is going to continue to make a strong play by jamming it all in. Saying, Prestige, I don't believe you. I've been seeing you go crazy all night long. And this is just another instance of you doing so. So well done there by Chris. Way to recognize that opportunity and know that, hey, you know, sometimes your opponent is going to wake up with good hands. And even if they do there, I have a really good opportunity to continue to improve with a draw to the nuts with an ace or 9. And if you're really getting out of line, I have a chance to hit a king or a queen. So well played there by Chris, and I'm impressed. Prestige continuing his experience of a roller coaster stream, kicking off the stream within the first 10 hands, finding himself down 2K, working his way up on a 5K upswing, up to I believe 3K in the green, and then now back down towards that 2K line, still with nearly 45 minutes to go. So let's see, can he make another loop back up to the top before the time is over? If he can find a big hand, I wouldn't count it out, because opponents are going to be looking him up with anything. So it's folded around to the small blind, of which looks like we have some pretty significant straddles on, because Aaron is going to open things up to 175, and Kevin is going to find ace-king in the big blind with a further opportunity to bring down terror on Aaron's experience so far tonight. The guy cannot catch a break.
Floor, live stream.
And Kevin is catching every break so far. Got a raise to 475 over the open of 175. 450. And considering this is blind versus blind, Aaron just has to be considering, what do I need to do here? He could easily just rip this in. Obviously, you're never feeling amazing about ripping in with ace-jack, but blind versus blind versus an aggressive and capable player like Kevin, this is not the most insane move. The challenge here is that Kevin has already invested such a significant portion of Aaron's stack in play, in the sense that even if Aaron jams for another additional 1,000, Kevin's only going to have 800 to call. And he lets it go. Really good fold there by Aaron. Way to not turn in what seemed like a potential situation into a disaster. And that's really the sign of a thinking and intelligent player. So good job by Aaron. Way to live and fight another day. So hopefully he can be rewarded for that a little bit later.
I'm a man of my word.
All right.
Well, at least you won the hand after that massive tank. It was a cross. It was a cross between comedy and holy shit. This is a pre-flop spot.
Sorry, it's on me. Maybe I should hang fly for a little while.
So Aaron gonna open up the ace-5 off to 125 on the button over the $50 straddle from Magic. Magic disappointed to look down at the queen-2 off. Not tremendous playability from this. Just gonna go ahead and let it go. So $67 heading over to Aaron stack, making up a little bit for that 125 that he just had to let go in the previous hand.
Put it on the Kevin that one bizarre play. I still haven't told you about. Someday you're gonna pay me to see it.
I think I know the bizarre play.
You think you know it, you don't. You wouldn't remember it. It's too obscure.
So a long time ago.
Yes. It's It's actually, it's before, you know,
And I know exactly what you're talking about.
bro,
I'm not sure.
straight up, I will give you a black chip if you get it right. If you give me a red bird, if you get it wrong.
So Jan once again returning to his early form of finding a premium. Pocket jacks this time. Opening it up to $30, and AA Ron going to find himself a hand just as good. This time the form of ace-queen suited, a little bit better than that ace-jack he was just looking at. He's going to go ahead and re-raise it up to $90 with just about 1,000 left behind to play for. Prestige, of course, is going to get in there because AA Ron is playing, and he has an opportunity to continue running like the sun against him.
Let's scale it up.
It's back to Jan here, and this is where things get interesting because he's out of position against AA Ron. There's a caller in between. He's curious to know how much is Aaron playing because I think this is a real opportunity for a 4-bet. A lot of players here think, you know, jacks just aren't that strong. Well, in this specific instance, especially when you're out of position, it's really important to continue applying pressure. You don't have to go huge here, which you can see it looks like he's doing something around the 335, 330. Yeah, I really like that sizing. If AA Ron makes the call here, that's going to leave around a 1-to-1 stack pot ratio for the two opponents. And really this is going to encourage Prestige to get out of the way because his likely holding is understandably suspect. So Aaron ships it in. I like the play here. Putting Jan's exact holding in a tough spot, but I can't see anything besides him flicking in the call here, especially when he's already got 330 invested, just like he does.
You want to go twice? Twice.
All right, and they're going to run it twice. We've got a classic flip here. We'll head to our first flop. No queen or ace. Queen on the turn. Aaron going to take the first one. Flop number 2. No queen or ace. Jack on the turn. That's going to seal it. And we're going to chop this pot up. So they're going to go ahead and chop up Prestige's $90 that he put in there. $50 to each player. Thanks for playing.
Well, Aaron, the poker gods decided you've had enough brutality for tonight. They said, we're at least going to let him chop this.
Yeah. I can chop the flips, but the fucking 99% to get at least half of the pot? No.
Yeah, not
Hell
that.
no.
Not that.
Hell no.
All right, so back to the action here. Optimize is going to go ahead and open up the ace-8 of clubs from the cutoff. Prestige coming along with the semi-suited connectors. As will Magic with the Jack-2 of diamonds. Flop is going to come King 5, 7, rainbow. Prestige, the only one finding anything of worth note. Ghost checks around, and Prestige only continues to improve his hand, this time finding 2 pair in the form of 4. This does open up the door for Optimize to backdoor his way into a straight, but it's tough for me to envision him making it to this river, as Prestige goes ahead and bets out for what looks to be around $50 into 120. Magic is going to instant fold, and Optimize, I can't imagine, is too interested in continuing alongside here, but he will go ahead and peel one time. Maybe he feels like an ace would be good. The 6 allows him to get paid. And he checks a river that I have not been able to see, which is a jack of clubs, of no help to Optimize, and he's going to go ahead and let it go.
Turn donation. I had a feeling it was coming.
And then it didn't. Your feelings are like over live tonight or something.
I have a pretty bad feeling, yeah. Yeah. Someone give me coffee. Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, 2.5 hour mark, I'm just like, what can I do to get my
No, a day.
I would have called you, but I'm so glad I didn't.
like, what weird?
I had diamonds and I'm betting on red. I'm always red.
You know, it was an even easier fold because I heard your erection. Right when that king hit. Boing. Yeah, you must have. It was like a snap erection.
So hand 75 here. So we've got a raise from Magic with the 7-5 off from the cutoff over a limp from Prestige. Call from Chris with the ace-10 off on the button. I wouldn't mind seeing a 3-bet with that specific holding, cutoff versus button. Take it heads up, and a little bit more control in terms of the hand. Now, multi-way, you have no idea where you stand versus multiple opponents. Even though he sits best here, now he has to call with bottom pair facing 2 more opponents behind him. Which he does, but it's just a little bit more challenging of a situation to navigate. Prestige is going to see if he can find a heart or maybe a magical 9, but he can't as the board pairs with a jack. So we go check, check. Over to Chris, who checks it as well. And Prestige finds an 8 on the end, still bottom pair, and we're going to go checks all the way around, and 10 is going to be best.
even did so well that I got a buy. And I went in the other one. I'm in the final four.
Two more games.
Yeah.
Ideally.
2 more games
Oh,
no matter what,
regardless,
because there's a third place
third
game.
place.
So yeah, no, there's a chance to make some real money.
So we've got an open from optimizing the +2, looking at pocket 10s, call from Prestige with the queen dissuited, a number of calls behind with some stragglers, 6-5 suited, 8-7 off, and Aaron gonna flop top 2, but Preston flopping the nuts with the 6-5 suited. This could get ugly for Aaron as well as Prestige, as he has flopped a flush draw. Optimize with an overpair, so everyone with a piece of this action besides Chris. And I expect to see some raising rather quickly, something that we haven't seen too much on the flop. Preston's going to be a little sneaky here and just smooth call, which is really going to invite Aaron to make the move himself, which I highly anticipate him doing with already $550 in the pot. It's a little bit awkward in terms of sizing, though. Aaron only has 1.1K behind. I expect to see something in the 500. Oh, he just rips it in. I'm not shocked there either. Preston is loving his life. Prestige gonna get it in there and gamble away with his queen 2. So we're gonna go all in 3 ways. With Preston, the 50% favorite to scoop this pot, Aaron cannot believe that he's finding himself in this position yet again.
There's going to be Aaron's got 5-6 without a club.
I wish, man.
Doesn't matter what he has.
You want to draw over there?
He said he wishes that.
Set.
Oh, you're changing your right.
Oh, there's nuts.
I'm already drawing.
I pick him.
You have 5-6?
Too late. I picked him already.
Yeah.
So Aaron is hunting for a 7 or an 8. Prestige is looking for any club. And Preston would like to see the board run out 2-2.
So nasty. Pocket 10s, you know.
Do you bet?
Easy.
Yeah, easy out. It's just like,
Oh, wow.
like, how does the
We'll wait a second here as our dealer gets the pot right
Y'all want to run
before we head to our run out. This is a $4,000 pot.
whatever, or
Here's the side pot in between Preston and Prestige, with Aaron up for grabs, nearly 37 or 3,800, I believe. So good luck to all the players as we head to this turn in the river.
rip it.
You guys got that side. No more action.
All right. Jack of clubs.
Showdown for the side.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Prestige.
Oh! Okay, there is 2 clubs.
Prestige gonna scoop the second largest hand of tonight, completing,
Take care, man.
as I mentioned earlier, the full ride down the roller coaster, back up, down again, and then what I believe to be a pot that's gonna bring him back into the green. Prestige with the triple up, a really strong opportunity to close things out significantly here to end the night.
I should have known.
Nice hand, Prestige.
I mean, his money was in so good though when there's 2 other players just shoving it in like that.
5-6 in my favorite hand.
Yep, you can see there, With that pot being pushed his way, Prestige has moved his way into second place on our earnings list tonight. Kevin, our huge winner on the evening, 3.5xing his buy-in. And we got a number of individuals that have found themselves near the bottom of our chart, not having their best night. But it be like that sometimes, and we appreciate for them coming out, playing, being great sports, and I'm sure they'll have plenty of opportunities to make it up.
That's the thing that's that. Then when all that crap happens, it's the easiest fold on the planet. If I would have like checked or something, or put a little tickler out, might have ended up having to put more money in. See how that works?
So after all that madness, Magic is going to find himself with ace-king off, but decides to go ahead and just limp. Wants to get a little tricky here. So far, the strategy is not working out, as it's going to fold around to Prestige, who actually elects to raise with the king-jack off. Magic is just going to rip his remaining 600 right into Prestige's face. Prestige kind of giggling as he's still stacking his chips from that previous hand. And he's going to call. So we're going to run this flop. Magic is a significant favorite here to double up, as he is dominating. Just fading a jack, and he avoids it. So Magic with a nice double up here. So Prestige going to go ahead and give back a number of those earnings that he was in. I believe that still keeps him in the green because Magic was a bit short stacked for this game. But he'll be shipping $619 his way. Or $694, excuse me. So well played there from Magic with the limp re-raise. Prestige will utilize some of those chips that he was spending his time stacking up, counting out, to pay that man his money.
That would have been a very slim move.
Poker movie joke for all those listening still. And we've got around just 15 minutes left on this stream. Things are flying fast and consistent, so you never know what you might see to end things up. Looks like we got a new player. If I had to guess, that looks like Stein.
No, you don't.
Man, I'm good. Another player I have some familiarity with.
Kevin, he will only deny me.
He'll definitely bring some action to the table, so he should be a good addition.
There's no way there's no way that was.
He'll say, if you've had a reasonable time to act, he has to call, and you had about 3 times a reasonable time to act. You were like, I mean, freaking gruesome gray hairs. It was the fucking longest pre-flop tank. Like you didn't know what to do. You didn't know it was your turn.
You mean when you yelled clock?
Exactly. 6 raise 100. Let's play a pot.
Fucked out. Yeah, more than once I fucked out.
I need a hand. One really good hand.
So we got a new player joining us, Stein, buying in for 2K. Let's see if he can run it up here in the final few minutes of the stream.
I'll also take a flush draw.
We are on hand number 79.
As long as it's coming. As long as it's coming.
And we are currently rocking the $10 straddle, folded around a yawn. Preston, win. Stein with a playable 5-4 suited in his first hand opens it up to 35, getting right into the action. Kevin with a very playable 8-6 of hearts on the button, going to tag along as well. Optimized, just flatting the ace-jack suited out of the small blind. Would have liked to see him apply some pressure there after the cutoff and button call. But regardless, we're going to go 5 ways to a flop here that comes Queen 7-3. Stein finding himself a diamond draw plus a gutter. Prestige back to his normal ways of donk betting. Stein not fazed at all by the habits of Prestige. Going to go ahead and raise him up to $100, for which Prestige is going to continue because he does have a diamond draw. Stein improves with a pair of 5s to the best hand. Now a 71% favorite on the equity scale to win this hand. He's going to continue with the story of having a strong hand, firing this time for $265. Still looking for a 6 or a diamond to improve, but little does he know the diamond will not improve his hand. In fact, it will cause him to lose it. We've got $905 headed into this pot. As I mentioned, Stein guaranteed to bring some action in the 3 of diamonds on the end. Prestige once again finds a flush. He's going to go ahead and bet out to the tune of just $200, inviting his opponent to raise this river. But Stein will correctly just make the call and get the bad news that his opponent did in fact river him. Flush over flush. Welcome to the table, Stein. Okay, so hand number 80. Stein with 100% pre-flop raise frequency.
Cash players,
Let's see if we can keep that up.
So get into
Gonna
the
be tough to
tournament.
do
This
for
is
sure.
your last chance to get into
I have
tonight's
faith.
$60 PLO rebuy event. 2K guaranteed purse. If you'd
Jan
like to
with
play
pocket
tonight's
7s
tournament,
plus
please
1.
make this your last hand.
Gonna open up to
And then go up to the front.
30. Len gonna call with the Queen Jack. Stein coming along with the 3s as well, so he's 2 for 2 in hands played. Kevin finding pocket 4s, so we've just got pocket pairs everywhere. You know, we haven't seen someone hit a set tonight from what I can remember. And is there a more perfect time than ever, though it's unlikely to be Jan now, considering Prestige is holding one of his 7s, and Magic has one of Kevin's 4s. So Stein definitely the leader in the clubhouse here to find himself a set. But we're going to go what looks to be 7 ways to this flop at 35 or at 30 apiece, so $210 in the middle. Let's see who can hit the jackpot. I've got my money on Stein with the 3s. Let's see a 3, a 7. We have hit our first set, and it's going to belong to Jan. And painfully, Prestige is going to find Jack 7. This could be a painful one. Chris W. with an open-ender, looking for an 8 or a king. I doubt he's going anywhere. And he's telling that story as he bets just a meager $35 into 210. Jan deciding what's he going to do. He is going to raise it up to what looks to be $125, a far more appropriate bet sizing for these specific conditions. Over to Len, who does have top pair. Multi-way, though, this is just not a hand that's really going to significantly improve, and if it does, you run such a risk to run into a better hand unless you go runner, full house. So good fold by Len there. Kevin, Stein, easy to get out of the way. Now this is where it's going to get fun, because Prestige thinks that he has a strongly premium hand, and he is going to continue along. Chris is certainly going to call, and this flop is going to continue to grow.
$50 gets you, $50 will get you.
So we are headed 3 ways to this turn card with lots of implications. A jack would be disgusting. But we see a 6, not changing much, but it does give Prestige additional outs in the form of a flush draw. Goes check, check over to Jan. His 7s were best on the flop. They're still best now, and there's no reason to think that they aren't. I expect to see a bet in the range of 350 to 400 here. Sizing up against multiple opponents on an extremely dynamic and wet board. Counting on his chips right now to identify what sizing he can use to potentially get all in on the river. So if he leans towards that 350 size, he's going to have around 850 remaining. If he does get a call, there'll be 1200 in the middle, which is essentially a perfect size for shoving. So it looks like he's going to slide across around 380. If I was counting out his, okay, 415. Pretty significant. I would not be surprised to see Prestige just rip this here. But he's just going to call, inviting Chris to come along with it. Problem for Chris here is he doesn't know if either of his straight draw outs are dirty with the hearts and the clubs, and it makes sense as to why he just let that one go. So we're headed to the river here, and a king. So Jan's set of 7s is going to be best. I don't particularly see Prestige getting away from this, especially when he leads out for 325 on the river. Now the thing is this could save him some money because there's a chance here that Prestige just makes the call. Concerned that his opponent could have that queen 9 that Chris folded and would have been the winner. And he is going to just make the call. So Prestige does save himself some money with the blocker bet on the end. Jan's going to show that, yep, I hit a set of 7s. You actually can't win every single pot. And one of significance is going to be pushed his way, sending Jan up strongly into second place on performance of the night and bringing Prestige back down into that red territory. So we've gone red, green, and now just a bit red for Prestige as we approach what may be our final hand. 3 more hands.
My little cousin printed it for me. Thanks. Or my, this is more like my nephew.
So we're headed 3 ways in a limp pot here, of which Prestige flops an open ender. Magic actually flops top and bottom. So we can see some action here, as well as Jan with an 8 high flush draw after picking up all those nice green chips. So Prestige is going to lead for 20, get called by Magic, and we'll see a call from Jan as well. So we're going to head to the turn, still 3 ways. Lots of ways this hand can go. And it's going to quickly go towards Jan's direction as he finds his third spade to pair with the 2 in his hand. Prestige is not phased as he actually just turned a straight as well. He bets for 40, Magic makes the call. Jan, sitting here with the best hand still to act, is very confused because the 8-high flush is strong. It's not that strong. We're in a limp pot. You never know what your opponents might wake up with. 2 people have already shown interest in this hand, but he's going to cut out some raising chips and bring things up to $200. And things are back on Prestige here, who again, strong hand, limp pot. How do you navigate these situations? It's really challenging. And he's going to make the call. Drawing dead to the flush. Magic, looking like he's going to put some chips in there too as he looks to find a 10 or a 6 to fill up on the river. So this limp pot has gone from $30 in the pot on the flop to nearly $700 after the turn. And a queen comes on the river. Probably going to slow down the action for a lot of play. I imagine Jan is rather satisfied with the size of this pot, considering he now has an 8-high flush on a paired board. And he will check it back. And he'll see that he does have the best hand. But he's hesitant to show. And the pot's going to be pushed his way. So Jan continuing to stack chips there as our night is headed towards a close. 2 more hands.
Are you upset I didn't bet?
I didn't bet.
I thought about it. If it makes you feel any better.
Stein gonna wake up with ace-10 off, open up things to 50. Shocking call from Prestige. Oh, just kidding. Opens to 35. Magic with the Jack-9 suited. Also gonna come along for the call. And it looks like we're gonna head likely 4 ways as our straddle joins the action with 10-6 off. So Magic looking for some hearts. We're looking for some 10s and 8s. And we find ace-3 deuce. So Stein way out ahead with 90% equity after the flop. Imagine he's going to bet and take this down, and we will head to our final hand of the evening. Thanks to everyone that tuned in to tonight's live showing of 2-5 here at TCH Austin. Again, my name is Shane, filling in for Dante on this Monday evening. Hope you guys enjoyed all of the action we saw. Looks like we're going to be doing a bomb pot for our final hand.
Let's do
So who knows who might be in the green after this.
Big me deal.
2 flops. Just go all in, no, why not? See what?
2 boards.
I will if you will.
I don't think I have enough to cover it.
Good.
I want it to be effective.
4 cards, 2 boards. Best 2 combination of cards play on each board. Pot is split in half, with the winning hand from each board collecting half the pot. You see an 8-7-3 2-diamond board on the top and a similar looking 7-6-3 rainbow board on the bottom. Straights are going to be an opportunity on this specific hand. Let's see if we can find anyone with pocket 7s maybe. I see 1 7, I see 2 7s, so there'll be no pocket 7s. Looks like Magic's got a nice 9-7-6-5 holding, which is a pretty strong wrap opportunity, though. He's got the 2 pair on the bottom board. He's looking like he has the best equities. Preston with ace-10 of diamonds on the top, giving him the nut flush draw. Kevin with 2 kings.
Set up,
and
live stream.
Prestige actually leads out with a $50 bet. I'm not sure exactly why. He's not holding much, but you never know. So we see a 4 on the top, so the 6-5 now becomes a straight. Magic looking really strong to scoop this, as he has a straight on both boards, I believe. 7-5, yes, 7-5 and 6-5 on the top and bottom. Magic gonna rip it in there because he knows I'm really good on both. Someone dare to call me. Prestige actually is live on both boards, as he is drawing to a 9 on the top and a 9 on the bottom, so it would really take a miracle for him to find them. But he is live. But I don't expect to see him around in this hand for too much long. And he lets it go. So, nice hand there for Magic, as he has the straight and wins a number of hundreds of dollars to cap his night and find himself in the green. So as I said, you never know who might find yourself in the green after that following bomb pot. Got a few winners tonight, a few losers, but lots of fun. Enjoyed hanging out with you guys for this Monday evening, and see you next time.
Dinner and a cut.